Hello. Hello. Greetings. Greetings. Hello. Hello. I'm going to start by saying hello, Panina, and hello, Valentina, and asking you if you can. Oh, hello, Evelyn. Thank you. Does this mean that? Does this mean that? Pardon me for a second. Yes, but thank you, Melissa. Yes, thank you. Okay. Hello. Good afternoon, Valentina. Okay. Does this means I'm going to take it that means you can hear me. Hold on a second. We're going to try it again. I'm going to say hello to all of you in a minute. I'm not trying to single anybody out. I apologize to Christina and Valentina, or I'm sorry, I apologize to Panina and Valentina for singling them out. It's just because I could see them for a second, which was nice. Hold on, I'm going to look at the chat, but I'm taking it. If you could acknowledge in the chat whether you could. Oh, good afternoon, Alexis. Thank you. Hello, Dante. All right, this is what I want. This is good. This already count. Hello, I mean, good afternoon, Juliana. Awesome. This is very helpful. You're going to be surprised to find out why, maybe. But so thank you for saying hello. And I'm taking, could someone confirm in the chat or confirm somehow this means you are hearing me? Yes, I gather. I mean, it must mean that. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you, Samantha. Awesome. Awesome. All right. And why is my chat all? Okay. And yes, you can hear me. Okay. Thank you. And if I'm going to use your names, and that is not to single anybody out, or certainly not to embarrass anybody or in a negative way, but I am going to use your names. This is a class. So if I mispronounce your name, please let me know right away. It might take me a couple of times. You can let me know in private chat. I look at the direct chat. You can let me know that way, whatever. But do please correct me if it's not that I'm taking attendance as such. I'm just trying to have us get to know one another. So thank you, Kay Lynn. Is that right?
It's Key.
Key, I'm sorry. Thank you. And thank you for that. And by the way, so thank you, Key, and thank you twice. And I'm going to say also, you're going to see how this works, all of you. You're going to see that actually you're going to get academic points in this course. We're going to talk about the grading and all that stuff, of course, and you're going to see that you're going to get points. For those of you who even said hello in the chat, you're going to get points for that. I'll explain how soon. Those of you who answer my question of like, can you hear me? And you said yes in the chat, that's going to count for something positive. Key, who not only put something in the chat, but actually just like used his voice, which is super helpful. And also for many of us sort of takes guts. He's going to get extra points for that. The people that were showing video for 2 seconds right at the beginning, even if it was an accident, it might have been an accident, and I didn't mean to call attention to it if that's what it was. And even though they turned it off, they're going to get points for showing video. Does anybody have to show video in this class? No. Do you have to use your voice in this class? No. I'll get to all of that. There's nothing that about anything that, do you get punished for not using video? No. Do you get punished for not using your voice? No, and no, and no. I don't do punishments. I don't do point penalties, etc. But do you get rewarded for various different possible ways that you might engage in this class as we are together for 2.5 hours, 3 times a week for 5 weeks? Various different possible ways that you might keep yourself paying attention and stay engaged. Do they all get you more points in the class? Yes, they do. Are there thousands of different ways to engage, even for those of us who are quiet or don't like making a lot of noise? Yes, there are, such as taking notes and then privately like sending me a screenshot of your notes. There's various ways that you can all stay engaged, and we can stay engaged together, and they all will get you points. Not that I just want to talk about grades today, but I just want to say right away, and this is part of my philosophy, you'll get, oh, by the way, hi. Excuse me, hi. My name is Professor Yaverbaum. This is Physics 204. We'll get to that in a second also. This is Physics 204. This is summer 2023. In a minute, my board will come on, and that will make it more clear too. There's a slight delay on my board today. That's part of why I'm like yammering around. But it's Physics 204. If that's what you mean to be, you're in the right place. Hopefully, probably you were just in a in-person lab earlier today. We're going to talk about that, see how that went. But even if something went wrong and you weren't there, or I'm misunderstanding something, you're in the right place right now if you're trying to be in Physics 204 John J. Physics 204, summer 2023. Again, my name is Professor Yaverbaum. I'm going to get to know you guys, like that is my goal anyway. That's my hope. My hope is to get to know even those of you who don't prefer to talk much or don't prefer the English language much or whatever, or don't show video. There's different ways we can get to know each other. And hopefully that's going to happen. And hopefully you're not going to all just hear me talking straight at you for 2.5 hours every day. Like, obviously that's dreary. So any possible ways that we can all stay engaged together and make it a group is better for all of us to stay tuned. But as you're already gathering, I think you're already gathering, this is a synchronous online class. Like, this is about being here in real time together. It's like the electronic version that's as close as I can make it to the real deal, if that makes sense. And if that's confusing or upsetting, you can talk to me privately about that. We'll talk about it. But all right, hang on one second. I'm going to say hello to you all in a second again. I'm just trying to re-sign in so I can get my board to join us. Pardon me for a second. And you can stop at any time if I'm already confusing or annoying any of you. Oh, closed caption. Yeah, that's totally cool. You can stop me at any time with a question in the chat or whatever, with your voice or in the direct chat. The more you talk, honestly, the better for everybody. Nobody wants to just hear me for 2.5 hours. So if I've already lost people, or if I'm already talking about something that is not what you meant to be hearing right now, you can let me know in the direct chat, and I'll take it seriously. Okay, hang on one sec. But it is great to see all of you already. It's great to see you here. And I'm not kidding. Hopefully my board is coming back. My whiteboard, I mean. Oh, for heaven's sake. Okay, that should be my. Okay, so, all right, so here's the board that should have been up from the moment we were starting. You'll see this, we're going to use this board every day. It'll be up every day, usually when we start. Here comes the, yeah, okay. So we'll use this, we're going to do physics, obviously. We're going to solve problems. We're going to have homework assignments. We're going to take exams. We're going to talk about all that stuff, mostly in lecture and recitation in this period of time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, 4:05 to 6:45. Mostly what we're going to be doing is going over solutions to problems that have been assigned. So some of you will view this as more like recitation than lecture, because we're going over problems all the time. Some of you will think of it as more as lecture because it's like me doing a lot of talking. But either way, the main thing is we're going over problems all the time, and we'll be going over problems on this. I'll be writing solutions out on this whiteboard right here. And again, the more you can stop me as I'm going over solutions and the more you can ask questions, the better it really honestly will be for everybody. There's a lot to go over today, of course. First, I want to say again, though, now that like we're essentially all here, it looks like. Hold on one second. Again, I would like, there's a lot to go over today, but part of my objective today is to get to know you guys and to have you get to know me. I mean, I know a lot of you took 203 at John Jay last semester with Professor Walters, which is terrific, and we'll talk about her and all that. So I know of some of you, and I know some of you did not take 203 last semester with Professor Walters, but what I am aware, so I want to get to, so a lot of things I do are very similar to Professor Walters, and some things are different. Also, I believe that was in person. This is online. You can correct me if that's wrong. So one thing that I do that is not to embarrass anybody, but because I know it's hard to stay paying attention in Zoom for this long period of time. First thing that every time we start class, usually the board will be up like this. You'll see the board up. And usually as you're coming in, I'm going to say things like, hello, Tawiba. Hello, Christina. Hello, Panina. Hello, Valentina. And again, stop me if I'm mispronouncing your name, okay? And I'm not taking attendance. I'm literally saying hello. And just letting you know that I know that you're here, and thank you. Hello, Samantha. Hello, Sade or Sarday. I'm not sure. Please tell me. Hello, Dante. Hello, Juliana. Hello, Key. Hello, Dennis. Remind me to talk about your email address at a moment. I shouldn't be laughing. Sorry. I like your email address, but we might have to do something about it. Hello, Michaela. Hello, Bradley. Hello, Evelyn. Hello, Mario. Hello, Bree. Hello, Bree. Oh, hello, Bree. Sorry, I thought you were different. Bree for a second. I like your picture. That's another thing, by the way. You notice that some of these people have, I guess, what we now call avatars. But you notice that some of your colleagues, such as Alexis, hello, Alexis, aren't showing video, but they're showing like a picture that might be of, in this case, an animal. That's actually super helpful. Honestly, the fact that it's not a black box with just a white name, the fact that Alexis has done anything at all to like just help her box seem a little bit more lively and help me have some kind of mental association in my mind to who she, I believe she, you can correct me on that too, who Alexis is help. I think it's helpful to everybody. So that's another way you're going to find out. Literally, Alexis is going to get points for that. It doesn't mean anybody's going to get docked points for not doing that. And it doesn't mean that if you never do that, you can't get an A in this class at all. But it does mean that Alexis just made Alexis's job of getting an A slightly easier on Alexis's self by putting up an avatar. I encourage you to, even if the letter A were just put up, just something to break up the black-white monotony of Zoom, like I think it's helpful to all of us. So thank you. That's my way of saying thank you. Certainly, if anybody shows video at any moment, they get tons of points for that. And it doesn't mean you can't turn it off. We'll talk about that too. But anyway, hello, Sarah Zyphon, or Sarah. Hello. Okay. Hello, I believe, Jackie, May. Good to see you. I'm totally glad you're here. I get it. Hang out for 2 seconds after class. We'll chat for a second. I'm again, not to single anybody out, but I'm glad you're here. I get it. And we'll touch base for a second afterwards. Thank you. Hello, Samira. Hello, I think, sorry. Hello, Alana. Hello, Allison. Who else do we have? Hello, Taskeen. Yes, I'm glad to see you too. Similar. I think you're in the right place. I think I'm glad you're here. Okay. Now, so I've just said hello, right? That makes it a little bit more human, at least for me. We're soon going to also talk about, like many of you I know I've already seen, have already like gotten my email and you already registered with Google Classroom, which is great. That really helps a lot also. We're going to talk about that. But before I go any further, I just want to count too. I also don't know. Hold on, I'll get rid of these windows. I want to say before we go any further that every class, I'm not going to take all of this time to say hello, of course. I'm not going to take this much time. But I'm going to tell you right now, at the beginning of every class, I literally do say hello to everybody. It's not you could consider it taking attendance if you want. That's not the point. The point is not to think about anybody who's not here. It's not for me to have a way of docking points to anybody who's not here. It's a way of acknowledging the effort that it took for people to be here. So I'm going to say hello every class. And I'm going to tell you right now that if you even just write hello in the chat, or heaven forbid you actually say hello with your voice back, that's a way of getting points you're going to see. Like, so the way the class begins is like, hello, hello. Again, because I think we're all losing something by being on Zoom. And anything I can do to gain back a little bit of the human ground that we all once had, I'm going to try to do. All right, so wait, so hello, Alana, thank you. If you just did that, was that just now? Yes, thank you. And thank you, Dante. And thank you, private chat person who said that they can hear. Okay. Oh, and thank you, Bradley. Now I'm looking at the chat, which I also will do. Okay, yes, it's all happening. Thank you, Bradley, and hello, Bradley. If I didn't say hello, my windows are right now. So, and someone has come back in. All right. And thank you, Christopher. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Bree. Oh, you can't hear. Wait a minute. Wait. Wait. Panina said you can't hear me, but I assume it's changed since then. Wait, has it changed? You can hear me? Wait, Bree. Oh, thank you, Dan. Okay, thank you, direct chat person. Okay, wait. Sade. Oh, okay. So I'm going backwards in the chat now. I apologize. This will happen sometimes. Sade. Okay, I got it. All right. Thank you. And sorry. And Evelyn, I believe, is saying hi. I believe you're not correcting my pronunciation of the name Evelyn, but you might be. I will be posting. Okay, good question about the homework solutions from Panina. Thank you. I will be. We're going to talk about all of this, but the quick answer is yes, I will be posting the homework solutions, not before you do them. I mean, if that may, I won't post them before you do them, but I will ultimately post them. But also, let me say, and thank you. Lectures online. Wait. Sorry. I'm going backwards in the chat, and there's some big important questions here that I missed. Hang on. Sorry. Yeah. This is the first remote class in an attorney for many. Yeah, and I feel bad. I know. Look, it's not remote is not as good as the real thing. I mean, in my opinion, but this remote class it won't be as good as the real thing, but it will be more real maybe than some. I hope. At least this is not a document exchange, if you know what I mean. This is like a class. It's just a two-dimensional class rather than a three-dimensional class. So, for example, now that I'm looking at the chat, even though I fell a little bit behind, there are some really, really relevant questions in the chat. Some of the questions in the chat are about things that I would have eventually gotten to today anyway. But honestly, I'd rather talk about them now if that's what you're asking about. Like, I'd rather the class be driven by you raising things and me responding whenever possible. So it's going to feel a little disorganized to some of you at some times. Hopefully not very, but sometimes the actual class experience is going to feel a little bit more like podcasty or something than, I don't know, than or live streamy than a class. Because whenever possible, if anybody puts anything in the chat, if any of you puts a question or something in the chat, or even better, unmute yourself and ask something, I'm going to go to that before whatever it is I had planned, because at least then I know I'm at least doing something for somebody in the room. So, but the reason everything is on Google Classroom, as I think you've noticed, many of you will get that. The reason the materials are already there, and the reason we use Google Classroom is I want you to know there is a curriculum, there is a syllabus, there is a bunch of topics we need to get to. There are 2 exams. There is a structure to all this, and there's a place that we need to get by the end of the semester, and we're going to get there. But yeah, when we're talking together during these Zoom periods, it'll be a little bit like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So, for example, okay, I'm going in order of the chat. Sarah asked, and I appreciate it. I'm confused about how the lab works. The lab is on campus. It's real because it's a lab. It's in person, and I mean, it is. It's in person, and it already happened today. We're gonna have a little discussion. I'm gonna find out from you guys like what happened and how it went and stuff like that. And I'm in constant communication with Mercedes, with Professor Talley, whom I like very much. We checked in last night big time, and we're going to check in tonight big time, but we didn't check in an hour ago. So all of you will be my first point of contact of what went down in the lab today. Yes, it was in person, as far as I understand, and it should have happened in room 3. Oh my God, it's been so long, 3.60. I think it's been so long since I've been in that room, but whatever the room, my God, maybe someone can correct me in chat. That would really show that you're paying attention to. But anyway, it was in the 3rd floor. Oh, say it again. I'm sorry. Thank you, Christopher. Say it again. Or whoever that was.
6'5".
Oh, thank you. And thank you, Christopher. When you find out how many points he just got for doing that, you're all going to be possibly angry, but hopefully motivated. Thank you, Christopher. You're going to find out how you just got points for that. But thank you. Yes, 3.65. That's right. Okay. So I'm also going to take that to mean that at least one person showed up to the lab today, which I'm going to ask you all about. But yeah, there was a lab today. It is in person every day in 3.65. If there was confusion and somebody missed it today, because of this confusing idea, because it's confusing, and half your class is, if you missed it today because it was confusing, you're going to reach out to Professor Talley, you're going to reach out to me. We're going to understand that the first day is confusing. We'll figure something out. I mean, from here on in, you want to be there. You need to be there. And she'll enforce all of that. Like, lab is important. But yes, lab is in person. Lab is in person every day. But this business, the rest of the class, is all online. And one person emailed me about this. Let me clarify. I see why one of the reasons this is confusing to people. Because, so I'm saying this to everybody now, lecture and recitation are all the same thing in physics. Okay, I know they're called two different things on your schedule, and that's like really annoying. That's a registrar thing. I mean, there's a history to that. There's reasons for it, but I know it's super confusing and annoying. In physics, lecture and recitation are just two. They're two different names for the same thing. They're all here on this Zoom channel. They're all with me. I mean, technically the last hour of today, I guess, is recitation or something like that. And the last hour of it, but I'm not going to shift gears in the last hour and suddenly do anything dramatically different. It's all lecture and recitation is all the same in physics, for good or for bad. And if you have real questions about that or issues, you can definitely talk to me in private, and I'll try to hear you out. But it's the fact. So all of lecture and recitation, all of that from 4:05 to 6:45, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, is all here with me on this Zoom channel. You get one grade for the whole thing. It's all one thing. And of course, we'll talk about the grading. Okay, but the lab is separate and is in the building and is with Professor Talley. And ultimately, in case you're coming on an E permit, which I know some of you are, just to be clear, you get grades in lab, you get grades in lecture, recitation, all of that. Ultimately, all the grades you get in lab get folded in and counted for one big grade that ultimately comes from me. At the end of the semester, you get one grade that that gets computed by me, that incorporates everything you did in the lab. Basically, the lab is 33% of everything you do. Basically, we'll talk about that. But so I take everything you did from all the Excel spreadsheets of Professor Talley, all of that will amount to 33% of your whole grade, and then you get one grade for the whole package. Just to be clear, I know that's a little bit different. Sometimes I think at York, sometimes it's different. Sometimes it's different at Baruch, etc. But that's the way it is here. So lab is on campus. Everything else is here. I know there's other questions in the chat. I'm going to go to the other questions next, but first I'm going to ask, since we're doing this together, I'm going to ask, did I just answer that question? And I'm going to tell you right now that if anybody, especially the person that asked the question, but if anybody puts in the chat, like, yeah, you answered the question, or like, no, you totally went off the topic for 5 minutes and like actually you didn't even remember what the question was. If you give me feedback on the question, that's a special, different way to get points too. There's a portal for that called closing the conversational path. Like if you can show that I did or did not help you out, I think that helps everybody. So if anybody can even say in the chat, like, yes, that clarified it, or no, it didn't. Oh, okay, Sarah, thank you, Sarah. Okay. Oh, and
it's clarified it because I'm not a John Jay student, so I'm coming from a college Staten Island, and I need this class for my master's, which is why I'm taking it in summer instead of fall.
Okay.
So that's why I'm a little confused about how this setup is working.
Oh, okay. That makes total sense, and welcome. I'm glad to see you here. So, okay. But that makes total sense. And that did clarify. You're good now, you're saying? Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. Great. Okay. Now I'm going a little bit out of order. Wait, okay. And thank you. All right. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Toby. And I know I keep saying you're going to get points for this, and you might be wondering, well, how am I going to get points? What if the class ends and it doesn't? I will explain. But the main thing is you're going to submit. Like if any of you did any of these things that I just said gets points, like definitely including those of you who used your voice, you can either just take a screenshot if you can of like where some of you, like Sarah just said, thank you so much. Towiba just said yes. One thing is you could just take a screenshot of that, okay, and save it on your desktop, whatever, until I tell you what to do with it. Or if it's something like a voice where you can't take a screenshot, just jot down a note to yourself. Just remind yourself that you used your voice to say, like what actually who was just talking right now? I'm sorry. Who was just explaining she was from Staten Island? I'm sorry.
Sarah.
Sarah. Oh, that was Sarah. Oh, this is all Sarah. Okay, great. So yeah, so Sarah, make a note to yourself that you just talked to. I'm not kidding. And again, this is a compliment, not a like, it's a compliment. Make a note to yourself that you talked today. I'm going to explain by the end of the class what you do with that reminder. You're not going to have to prove it to me. You're just going to remind me, and this is applying to everybody, okay? The ultimate thing to everybody, one thing I'm a very big believer in is there's more than one way to get an A in this class. There is more than one way to get an A in this class. Like, some people will get it strictly by their exam scores. Some people will rock the exams. And if they rock the exams enough and they rock lab and all of that, then, and they can do that with like only paying half attention or not, doing all this stuff, then electron bless them. Like, that's great. I'm not kidding. Like, if you're the type of person that just already knows or suspects that all my talking is like nonsense to you, but like you just want to hear the physics and you're just going to know the homework assignments, you're going to do them, and then you're just going to rock the exams, and like all this other stuff is great. Great. If you rock the exams, you'll get an A, and you don't have to do this other stuff. Other people have a little more trouble with exams. They have rough days, they get nervous, or it takes them one exam to learn like what my exams are like, or something like this, right? For whatever reason, some of us, including me, struggle sometimes on exam days. But we're really trying, we're paying attention a lot, and like we get the material better if we're like asking questions about it or like staying tuned. So those people have a way, even if we don't get an A on every exam, there's a way to build up enough points, largely through different mechanisms of participation. There's a way to build up enough points where you could get an A in the class, even if you didn't literally get a 93 on every exam. Okay, again, this is an overview. I'm just giving you all an overview that part of my philosophy is there should be more than one way to get an A. Nobody has to do everything. Everybody has to do something, if that makes sense. Okay. And as long as I'm talking about grades, and I'm going to go back to the chat again in a second and answer the other questions. But as long as I'm talking about grades, I also just want you to know off the bat. And I think Professor Walters was this way too, I believe. I hope you saw, but of course we're different people. Just so you know off the bat, I want you to get an A. I'm not saying everybody's going to get one. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying I'm automatically going to give A's to everybody, or that you'll get A's if you don't earn it. But I am saying I'm not trying to keep you from an A. I mean, literally, I want you to get A's. And I don't have a limit as to how many A's could happen in this class. I think that's important to know from the start, because we all know there are many classes where there is literally a grade distribution from the start, where there's supposed to be some percentage of A's and some percentage of F's and I'm not saying that's not legitimate. That's a part of college in a lot of classes. So only the top 5 people get an A or something like that. So therefore, everybody's competing with one another to get the few A's that could be earned. I just want you to know from the start, that's not the philosophy of this class, for good or for bad. The philosophy of this class is we want to set up a situation where as many people could get A's as possible. We want to set up a situation here where you are helping each other get A's, and I'm helping you and you're helping me help you get A's. We want as many A's as possible. Oh, sorry, my board just freaked out. And I know the board's taking up a lot of space right now too. I'll get to the board soon, but we want as many A's as possible. And you might even think, well, then doesn't mean, you can't get away with that. You can't give everybody an A or something. Then the class is silly if everybody gets an A. Well, that's true. If literally everybody gets an A, then something is silly and something's wrong. That means somehow it's a gift, not a class or something, right? But I'm also telling you right now, not everybody's going to get an A. There aren't going to be a ton of middle grades like C's. There's going to be a bunch of A's, and there's going to be some D's or F's or C minuses, some, hopefully not as many, but some. There always are some. The sum, C minuses and D's and F's, go to the people that for whatever reason by the end just couldn't find a way to do any of the paths that I'm hoping or suggesting or recommending to get to an A. And sometimes it's because they have a big family issue or a sickness, or whatever the reason, or they drop out, or they get angry, whatever. There are always some people that I have found over 30 years of doing this, that I have found that physics can be hard. Maybe I'm crazy, but and physics also seems hard, sounds hard to people. It can be hard. I have found that I don't need to make it any harder than it already is. I have found that my job as a teacher is not to show you how hard physics is. It already is hard. My job is to try to help you with it and help you see that it's easier, can be easier or more manageable than it looks. Now, so I don't have to make it any harder than it is, but somehow, no matter what I do, I have tested this. I will try and hope and help everybody try to get an A. No matter what I do, there will be just enough people that will fail to show up just enough, or fail to participate just enough, and fail to do the exams just enough that they will get the Fs and the Ds or the C minuses that make all the grades legitimate for everybody else. I'm telling you that right now. There won't be a lot of them, but there will be some people, hopefully none of you, if you're paying attention to me right now, hopefully none of you, but there'll be some people who will get Fs and Ds. And because of those people, if you get an A in this class, I'm telling you right now, it's not a gift, you earned it because you did something to get it. And the proof is that if you didn't do that thing that you did to get the A, you'd be one of the people that didn't get an A, if that makes any sense. All right, so I'm saying that right now. I want to set the tone right now. You're not in competition with each other in this room. We have enough of that in the world right now. You are here. We are here to maximize A's. And you're certainly not in competition against me. I'm too old for that. Like, it's not. I mean, and I'm not in competition against you. I'm not a gatekeeper. Okay, that said, so wait, okay. So that said, let me go back to the chat. Oh, so that said, there's all these ways to participate and get points for, which I'll explain in more detail soon. But I just, again, I want you to know, the more you participate, the more you engage, the more you are just helping yourself, cushion yourself, and build up an A that maybe you might or might not have been able to get through straight up exam scores. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the chat. And look, again, we have lots to cover today, but I prefer to answer questions in the chat when I can. So wait. Oh, it did? Wait a minute. Wait, I'm going back in the chat. I can hear, hello, yes. Oh, wait a minute. If the midterm, I'm going to change that right now. Someone, thank you, Samira. That's a mistake. Okay, so Samira is bringing up a good thing. First of all, Samira, well, she says, or he's, I'm sorry, I believe it. Samira.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Jade. Yeah,
okay.
You said my name right.
Okay, thank you. All right. And that, she just got points also, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Okay. So Samira said, speaking of homework, I saw that the midterm said that it was due March 28th. When is the due date? Okay, yeah. So number one, what am I saying? Number one, you realize that Samira just like tacitly demonstrated that she's already looked in the Google class. She's already signed into the Google Classroom. Thank you. And she started to look through the materials to like get a beat on this class. Thank you again. Good job. Good idea. And that, of course, a lot of what we're going to do today is sort of go over those materials. Now, it also turns out that she caught an error, which is, I appreciate. That's also, there's going to be a portal for that for people that catch errors. You get points for that. I'm going to fix that error right now. Oh, wait, am I going to fix it right in front of you? That's not what I meant to do. Oh, hold on. I am going to fix that error right now. That is a mistake. Right. It says March 28th. I don't mean, honestly, I'll tell you all right now. I populated like the Google Classroom with a bunch of materials so you could get a sense and you could see what to expect and stuff like that. None of, well, any exam due dates that are there are totally accidental. And I don't know, we're going to decide the due dates together. I don't even want, when it comes to the midterm, when we're getting even sort of close, like well, I guess we're always close in a 5-week class, but once we get to know each other in the next couple of days and we have a rhythm, we're going to establish exactly when the midterm is due together. Okay, I'm going to make sure, we're going to try to make sure it doesn't conflict. If you are taking another summer intense course or something like that, we're going to try our best. Also, it's take home, the midterm. We'll get to all those details. But so when we say it's due, I don't even know. It shouldn't say March 28th. That is certainly a mistake, but it really shouldn't say anything right now. So so I'm going to change that. Maybe I won't change it live in front of you, but so thank you for pointing that out. Don't pay attention. The only due dates you should really pay attention to right now that are real is like, yes, homework 1 is due tomorrow, and we're going to get to homework 1 today. One of our main goals is to start going over homework 1, particularly homework 1B today together. That's part of what the notes are about. We're going to do that. That's due tomorrow. And then what's called the game turn 1 is due tonight at midnight. I'm going to explain that. but you're probably going to end up submitting that before the class is over as like a test run. So other than those two due dates, I don't take the due dates too seriously in the Google Classroom yet. Let me actually, I'm actually suspecting when you say it said March 28th, maybe that was in the explanation of the midterm, perhaps. Is that what I'm understanding? Because if that's true, yeah, I have to change. It's definitely not due. Yeah, okay, and also just to give you a rough, it'll probably be due. I mean, since this class goes so fast, I'm guessing, we're going to work this out together, but I'm guessing it'll probably be due a week from this coming Friday. Like not this Friday, but a week from then is my guess. But we're going to discuss that together. The midterm exam, does it say? Let me just look. What does it say? No, oh, it says, oh, yeah. I see where you're saying that. Yeah, we're going to anytime until. Okay, thank you for catching that, though. That definitely. Okay, I just changed that. Also, wait, why did I even post that? Oh, and so that you know too, just because it's a great observation that it's a great observation. I'm going back to the Zoom screen. Hang on, sorry. That Samira caught that. As long as she caught that, let me also say that midterm that's posted there, that is the midterm from the spring. That's an example. I mean, that's a past, that's not your midterm. That it specifically says SP23. That's there so you can see the midterm that was taken last semester to help you, and you can use it as a practice test or whatever. We're going to talk about all that because again, we don't play hide the ball here. I mean, we try not to play hide the ball here. So that's not your exam. That's just a posted past exam. So you can get a sense if you want to get a jump start or whatever. But your exam will be, I mean, similar, very similar, but not the same. Okay. All right. So Sarah, hopefully I could address Sarah's question. Okay. Sharday, thank you for the 3.65. No, you don't even have the room. Okay, that's a bummer. All right. So look, Sarah and anybody else, we're going to find out today. I'm going to start turning this back to you guys. But anybody who missed lab today, if you're here with me right now and we're talking about this, I'm going to explain to Professor Talley, you're going to explain to Professor Talley, like it'll be a little, like you'll have to make it up. I mean, you'll have to catch up. It's slightly unfortunate for you, but it won't be a crisis. You're not going to be like directly punished for that. I know it's confusing, but please do come from here. And the room is shown on the, okay. So yeah, so some of you made it clearly and some of you didn't, I understand. And we'll hear about that. Okay, the room is in the new building. Cool. Thank you, Valentina. Oh, let me also say, at the risk of annoying there's another portal. I should start talking about this in a minute because I keep making allusions. There's another portal. I guess, all right, I'm going to change my screen so I can show you. But those of you who, like Valentina, for example, who wrote like something that helped someone like, oh, and Dennis, people who like answered let me back up. Like someone asked, oh, Sarah asked, where's the room? I don't know where the room is. Okay. And then two of you answered for her. So two of you like helped one of your colleagues out. You get credit for that. There's a portal for that. Or there should be a portal for that in the Google Classroom called multiplayer co-op. You get points for ever acknowledge anywhere in the chat or in voice, ever in any way constructively acknowledging something that someone else said in the class and then helping them out. You get points for that. So let me, okay. And again, I'm going to explain how, and I probably should soon before I drive everybody crazy, but yeah, I'm looking at the chat now. So Evelyn, thank you. Right. That's helpful. You should email the lab instructor, Ms. Talley. Okay, what's Mrs. Talley's email? Okay. So then Evelyn, thank you for providing the emails to everybody. Let me take a moment to address this to everybody. And again, I know there's at least one person in the room right now who's sitting there I don't know, I'm guessing that one of you at least is sitting in your seat right now going like, this is crazy town. Like, why is this professor just like rambling? Like, can we get to physics? Like, can we get to the class? Like, can we at least know when the exam is? Like, what is going on? And if you are frustrated right now because this seems disorganized, I apologize. And I understand that. I want to assure you, it's not actually disorganized. I mean, we have things to get to and we're going to get to them, but it is a long period for us all to be sitting together. So I just want to say again, what I try to do is address whatever's coming up in the chat as I can, as it goes, because I think we all know that we all pay attention better when we're talking rather than listening, right? So if you, So if you're one of the people that's frustrated, who's thinking, can he just like get to the topic, please? You are welcome. And I'm not being sarcastic. You're welcome to put in the chat or in the direct chat, like, well, you're welcome to say to yourself, to ask yourself, what do you think the topic should be? What is it that you think I should be talking about right now? If it's that you want me to start getting to the homework and how it works and when it's due and how you get points for it, fair enough. Just put it in the chat and then I'll get to, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, I just want to say to everybody, this is a little bit unconventional. I know. But Zoom is a little bit unconventional and COVID is a little bit unconventional and physics is a little bit hard when it's done in conventional ways. So please bear with me. I'm here to try to address anybody and everybody and try to get to all the material in time. But if you're feeling like this is all over the place, I get it. And it won't always feel like this. But ask yourself, what do you want to hear about? And put in the chat and I'll get to it. But okay. So for example, I'm looking at the chat. I'm looking at where Evelyn is talking about the 2 emails. Really good point. Yes, each of us has 2 email addresses. If you want to reach out and correspond to either of us, certainly me, the most efficient way to reach either of us is with our official John Jay email address. In fact, here we go. Okay, here comes some notes. The most official way to reach me is the blue d.averbaum at jj.cuny.edu, and the most official, I think, fastest direct way to reach Professor Talley, unless she tells you otherwise, is the mtally at jj.cuny.edu. The reason for the other email address, the reason for it is that's the email address that we're known as, that we use for this whole Google Classroom thing to work. And yes, as you might have noticed, all of this stuff we do through Google Classroom, not through Blackboard. Blackboard we use to provide a link to Google Classroom, but then for good or for bad, from there on in, it's all Google Classroom. Like you never, I know for some of you this is annoying and for some of you it's a relief, but you never have to look at Blackboard again. You never really should, honestly, look at Blackboard again in this class. It's all Google Classroom. That is a choice we've made because we think it's better in the long run, even at the cost of you having to look at 2 different places. So the email, so when you send me, when I correspond with you through Google Classroom, like when I comment on your papers, on your homeworks and like send them back and stuff, or I make like a comment, I think that's what it's called, or you make a comment to me, or we're corresponding through Google Classroom, you know, and you get notifications, it ultimately goes through an email address. And that's why we needed one from you. Well, the email address for me is, and for Professor Talley, is that the jjphysics.com one, okay? So you don't ever have to use that one directly unless Professor Talley tells you to, but that's, if you ever get an email from one of those, that means it's coming from me at Google Classroom. I would prefer you use the other one. Again, I'm going to go back to chat. If that answered someone's question, please let me know in the chat. It would help me. It would help me move on. But as long as we're on the topic, if you look at the notes on the board right now, I've also given you my cell phone number. It's also in various other documents on Google Classroom. That is my cell phone number. Please have it. I mean, number one, I don't have a landline anymore for whatever reason. But number 2, I do welcome text messages. Here's how. Partly because I know online learning is hard. I'd rather be able to see you in person. I'd rather connect with you as a human being. This makes it harder to access me, that we're remote. Therefore, I'm perfectly happy for you to text me at that cell number. I encourage it. Here's the rule with texting. I don't care what hour of the night it is. If I'm asleep, I just won't know. I will usually get back to you pretty quickly by text. Just the first time you text me, identify yourself, please. You know what I'm saying? Like say, like I'm Evelyn from Physics 204 or whatever, right? And then the other thing is, if you're going to text me, and some people really prefer texting for 1,000 reasons, it's fine. But the rule with texting is, okay, I'm going to say this more than once. Bear with, actually, I'm going to stop for a second, just as a test. Raise your electronic hand if you're still with me, if you could still hear me and you're understanding what I'm talking about. Like if I haven't lost you, just raise your, thank you, Evelyn. Thank you, Key. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you. This also gets points, by the way. Thank you, Chris. Oh, I like the new, it's like a cool bit more. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you, Towiba. Okay, awesome. That's okay. That's cool. Thank you. I'm going to go one step further now. Here comes the control of the experiment. Just raise your electronic hand if you hear me at all right now and keep it up. This is a test. Thank you, Jackie, or me, May. If you hear me at all right now, if you're still alive and alert, just raise your electronic hand. Thank you, Mario. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Smith. I know, see, this is obnoxious, but it's not, right? I mean, thank you, Christopher. I'm going to wait till everybody raises their hand, okay? I am not, and again, this is an example of how I do things. I am not looking to punish anybody who's not doing the right thing, but I am looking to reward and acknowledge anybody who does do the right thing. So I'm going to just wait. Please just raise your electronic hand or somehow signal if you hear me talking at all, if you're alert, if you're in the room, even if you've missed the last 20 things I said, just raise your hand if you're with me at all right now. If you hear my voice, raise your electronic hand. See this? I mean, you see what it's like to be me over here, people? Okay, that's a lot. All right, that's not everybody, but it's a lot. Thank you. And thank you, Alana. And if I didn't mention your name, it's because the screen is too small. Oh, that's a lot. Now, thank you, Valentina. Thank you, Bradley. Love the avatar. Thank you, Dante. Love the avatar. Thank you, Key. Love the avatar. Juliana, thank you. Bree, thank you. If I missed your name, I apologize. Thank you, Sharday. Okay, that's a lot. All right, Samantha, thank you. Alana. Okay, if I missed your name, it's not I don't mean, okay, so you're all hearing me. So here's the thing with texting. You can text me. Sometimes it's better for me if you text me, but text me if and when you have a question that takes you longer to type the question than it would take me to type the answer. Let me say that again. I'm not trying to be obnoxious, but I'm also not joking. To me, the whole idea of texting is you text when the question would take you longer to construct than it would take me to give an answer. i.e., like, what's the exam date? I can then write July 20th, or I can write, I don't know yet. We have to decide, or whatever. Or you text like, will you be did you post the notes today, Yavram? I can write yes or no. Or you can text, I really don't understand the material. Can we please make an appointment to talk on the phone or Zoom to go, can we make an appointment to go over blah? And I can write, yes, how's Wednesday for you? Or whatever, right? As long as you can ask something that I don't have to think that hard about answering, and that I can relieve some stress for you. Like if you just knew the answer right now, your heart rate would go down, and then my heart rate would go down because I would know that at least one person in the class is feeling okay. That's a great reason to use text, to just get a fast answer that brings your heart rate down. That's a good way to text. I'm all for it. Okay, and please do. Some people do it with me in the past a lot. Just don't text to say, I missed the last 3 days of class. Can you explain the material? Like, no. Like, I mean, the answer is no. Like, you get it, right? Like, no, don't put me in a position where you ask something so open-ended that you now want to teach, you want me to teach you through texting, like for an hour. That's not, you get it, right? So text, if it's a fast answer, okay, and you can put your hands down now, thank you. Unless you have a question, you can put so feel free to text. I'm not joking. I like it. If I can offload something for you quickly through a text, I'm all for it. It's like, it doesn't clog up the email inbox, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So that's how to reach me. So with Professor Talley, unless she tells you otherwise, reach her at MTA, the thing that Evelyn wrote second. And thank you again for Evelyn, and thank you, Allison, for doing that. Okay, and thank you, Sarah. Okay, I'm gonna keep going through the chat. We're gonna get to stuff soon, I think. Thank you, Sarah. Wait, Allison is Sarah? Solutions to practice. Yes, we'll talk about practice exams, and we'll talk. It's a sort of complicated answer, but ultimately, yes, you get to practice exams before you take them. And we do some solutions get posted, like literally posted. Some we literally walk through in class, and you take notes, and then you have the notes, and then I post the notes. And some problems, sometimes in practice exams, there'll be a problem or something where we don't give a solution, and where I explicitly say, okay, I'm not going to give you a solution to that. But to deal with that, any problem that I don't literally give you a solution for means, and I'll tell you this at the time, means that the exact problem will appear on the exam. Like the others where I give you solutions, they're for practice, and then I change them slightly for the exam. So you practice, and then you have to actually, apply the concepts and show that you actually understand, rather than you're just copying for the exam. But sometimes I'll give a problem, and if I don't get to the solution, then I'm basically saying to you, this is our research project. Like, I'm not telling you the solution. Go find it out, go figure it out, go work with each other and help each other. And then when you get to the actual exam, it's going to be there, but you didn't get a solution from me, but you got plenty of time to practice and figure it out. So that's my quick answer to that. Quick, are you grading? Oh, great question. Okay, now, so again, for those of you who are, I'm just going through the chat here. Great question. There's a question in the direct chat. Okay, there's a question in the the private chat. Let me tell you how. Oh, and I'm sorry, Tuiba, if your hand and one other person, if your hand is still because you have a question, I apologize. I do want to call. Or no, it's just okay. Or Dennis, do you have a question, or is it just still up from before? Because if you are welcome to raise your hand and ask questions, okay. And I would prioritize that. If someone were, I would stop on a dime for that. But okay, that was not that. So someone's got a question in the direct chat, i.e., it's private. Here's how I handle that. I'm a believer in the private chat. Honestly, if you really think about it, it's like one of the crazy things that we can do on Zoom that you could never do in a real class, like literally never, right? I mean, not in the middle of a class, you couldn't. You could call the professor over to your seat and like have him or her bend down and be like, I have a secret question for you, and whisper it in their ear. But then everybody in the room knows you. I mean, how awkward is that, right? But here you can actually ask them something and not have to have the whole world know that you just did that. I'm all for that. But let me be clear on what I do with that to respect it. If there's a question that you put in the private chat, I will respect it. I will not read your name out loud. I will not tell anybody who asked the question. But if I think it is a question for general, like for everybody's general benefit, I will probably read the question out loud. Okay, so just know that going in. I'm not going to say who asked it because I won't. But so here's a question in direct chat. I'm going to take a risk here. I'm just going to, because I think it's a fair question. Someone asked, am I grading the homework based on correctness or just how you did it or how it was graded in 203 with Professor Walters? The basic answer is it's not based on correctness. It's like how you did in 203. Let me be a little bit more clear about that though. I'm a big believer in the 5-step method for solving problems. Like I'm a big believer in showing all the work and showing the thought process through a 5-step method of problem solving. You'll tell me in a minute in the chat if you can. I don't remember if Professor Walters lately has been emphasizing that or not. Like that's her choice to make. I don't remember if in your class she emphasized the 5-step method. If you're familiar with it, maybe let me know in the chat, but I will tell you all that I have a 5-step method for solving problems, which I will go over or at least make available to all of you here. And I do grade the homework with regard to that. Like you can lose points for not doing certain steps. Definitely, that's the way to lose points. But no, if all your steps are there and you go through the whole process and you're showing all your work, it's totally possible to get, it is totally possible to get full credit on a homework with a lot of wrong answers. Yes, it is possible to get full credit on a homework, even with a lot of wrong answers. I mean, if that's what you're asking. And again, I'm going to get to that in more detail, but yeah. So I think that's more like 203. I mean, and we're going to talk, I love Professor Walters. I mean, I'm not literally, but literally. And I mean, we're working with her for a long time. She's a trusted colleague of mine. Ultimately, we both come from the same school of thought about how to do things. We all do everything, created everything together and stuff. But of course, we're different people. So our style will be different from time to time. But I hope you're going to find, those of you who took Physics 203 with Professor Walters, I hope you're going to find this is more similar than it is different to that. I mean, again, it's online, and whatever. I'm like a loud, like unshaven dude. So I mean, we're different, but yeah, when in doubt, it's more like it than not. We got educated the same place. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Okay, I'm going to keep going in the chat. And I'm watching the clock too. I know there's other things we have to get to, but me right now. Oh, is me right now? I'm wondering if when Christopher wrote 14 minutes ago, me right now, that means he's thinking, yeah, I wish this guy would just get to the point already. And if that's true, okay, fair enough. I apologize, I will. But then tell me what the point is that you'd rather me get to. And I'm not being sarcastic. Okay, would I prefer, but it's easier for me to just answer questions in a way. I mean, it's all here. I mean, yeah, okay. I'm going to turn the page on the notes just so you can show this is what we need to get to sooner rather than later in the class. That's the first homework. We're going to start going over it together in the class, just so you know, we are going to get to physics, but Would I prefer to be contacted by email or by my phone? Yeah, if it's a quick thing, I'd actually rather be a text. If honestly, if it's time sensitive to you and I can answer it quickly, and it's like, you know, it'll just make, if it's like quick and it'll make a big difference to you, and then yeah, just text me. But if it gets into stuff or documents are involved, or I will say this, if you're going to ask me questions about the homework and stuff, like you're confused about part 3, or is this okay that I did this? If once you're going to start showing me like documents and stuff, then it becomes hard on my phone. I mean, okay, so it's a judgment call. I won't be offended either way. Okay. Wait, yes. I don't know how to do that. Oh, you don't know how to raise your, oh, that's why some people didn't raise their hand. Oh, that's fair. Oh, I should tell, okay. I think you go on your screen, and I will do that a lot. I'll say raise your hand if you're still alive right now, because again, like, I mean, this is deathly boring for a lot of you, I know, but it's also deathly weird for me just to be talking to a vacuum. So the way you raise your hand is you go to reactions, I think. Yeah. At the bottom of your Zoom screen, and maybe you can help each other if your Zoom screen looks different from mine, but at the bottom of the Zoom screen, there's a thing called reactions with like a little emoji and a plus sign. You hit that and then raise hand. And then there's like a bunch of emojis and a raise hand option. Someone else tell me if that's not what it looks like, but that's okay. Or tell me if that helped, and your hand was up. Yes, sorry, some of you I missed because my screen's all weird right now. But you figured it out. Okay, great. Okay, it's in reactions. Okay, great. So you guys are totally with me. So we're here together. They see this is almost like a discussion, right? It almost feels like a class. And Sarah raised her hand. Okay, cool. Press yeah. Oh, there you go. And you're all getting points for this. I'll talk about that too. It's under reactions. Oh, I love this class. She did. Okay. Yes. Okay. She did. Are we almost? Oh, we're almost at the end of the chat. Great. She did. Oh, she did. Oh, you're talking about the 5-step method. Great. Okay. Now, again, I know not everybody in the room took Physics 203 at John Jay with Professor Walters. I'm aware of that. We'll deal with that. Like, welcome. That's no problem. But okay, for those of you who did have Professor Walters for Physics 203, thank you for telling me that you are aware of the 5-step method. So yes, I'm a big believer in that. That's how I grade, including on the exams. So I'm looking for process. And if you've practiced it already with her, good. You've gotten a lot out of the way already. That's what I'm looking for how to grade, not necessarily correct answers, of course. The secret philosophy, actually, is that if you really do the 5-step method and you really get proficient at it and you take it seriously, and if you don't worry about correct answers, but you just worry about going one step at a time, but doing every single step. So the reality is it ends up really maximizing the chance that you actually will get the right answer. I mean, that's like the secret plan of the method. Is we shouldn't be worried so much about answers when we start questions, because questions in physics are long and thought-provoking. We should just try to tackle them one step at a time. But if we do, it's kind of really hard not to end up with a right kind of answer. Anyway, okay. Oh, and by the way, thank you for your honesty, Christopher, and maybe other people. He says, personally, the 5-step process is a pain. He also had the guts to put that in public chat. I should probably open up a portal for that type of guts. I hope I haven't offended him by bringing up the 5-step process. I totally appreciate that it's a pain. He says it's a pain in his judge. Do I think it's a pain? It is a pain. It's definitely a pain. It's a pain. It is a pain. Do I ultimately think it's worthy? I think it's much, the harder physics gets, I think, let me actually back up for a second. I'm a little defensive on this, but no, look, it is a pain. And a lot of what I do is a pain. Hopefully, again, by the way, you're going to find in this class, hopefully, some of the pains that I put in front of you, you can avoid as long as you're good enough at other things and you can get to success a way that works for you. Part of the point of the 5-step method is, it's part of a larger methodology to show us all what to do when we don't know what to do. And when you say it's a pain, and I hear you, it's particularly a pain. The 5-step method is the biggest pain when you basically already think you already know the answer or how to get there without the 5-step method. It's an enormous pain to do the 5-step method when it doesn't seem necessary. And it doesn't seem necessary in problems that you pretty much already feel like you have a grip on. Absolutely. But here's the thing, it's vital. Here's my philosophy. I have found out the hard way for me that the 5-step method or things like it are vital to have in your back pocket when physics gets hard enough that you actually don't know how to approach the problem. When you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel right away, for problems where you don't even understand what's being asked of you when you first look at it, which is the way physics eventually looks like to everyone at a different, some people it happens on the first day of 203, some people it happens in the middle of 204, some people it happens later. I mean, but everybody in physics reaches a point where suddenly the physics is like freaking hard. And that point is different for everybody. But the point, or let me even be more general, for all of you scientists, there's a point in scientific research where you reach, where you don't know what to do by definition, because it's original research and no one's done it before, right? If you're trying to go on in scientific research, what you're literally trying to set yourself up for is you're trying to carve out a path in life where you're getting to do science where it's interesting, where it's new, where you're the actual scientist, not just a science student. So all of us are trying to position ourselves to get to the point where we're doing things that we don't know how to do. By definition, it might not have happened for certain people in 203. 203 might have been a cakewalk for some people. Like, that's totally fine. And so therefore, any tools we were giving you were just like in your way because you could do it anyway. Fine. I mean, I'm not being sarcastic. I'm sure that is true for some of you. But somewhere you're going to hit a moment in physics where it's not clear what's going on. And for me, something like the 5-step method is an anchor to pull out and use when you're adrift. And it doesn't work unless you've practiced it on things where you did know what to do. Again, I swear I'm not arguing with Christopher. Like, I totally appreciate that he had the honesty to bring that up. And I feel the same way. Like let me be really honest. When I start going over this homework 1 in a moment or two, and I start going through the 5-step method with you and going over problem 1 of homework 1, oh, I mean, I'm going to be like painfully bored in a way, because I've gone through the things so many times a day for 30 years. I mean, of course, and dragging it out with the 5-step method instead of just telling you that the answer, whatever the, is negative 30 newtons or something, like, it's painfully annoying, but I got to do that. We all got to do that so that we know what to do when we get to the point of not knowing what to do. That's like the thing of it. So I mean, but I hear you anyway. Okay, I'm going to keep going. I know I am like, but keep the dialogue going. Seriously, like, I appreciate the feedback. And I'm not trying to convince, I'm just trying to give you a perspective. If you don't like the 5-step method, I'm not going to force you to like it. I'm going to force you to use it, but I'm not going to force you to like it. Okay. Oh no. Okay, now there's another question in direct chat. It's direct, so I'm not going to say the person's name. The person's even acknowledging that I might have already answered the question. They were sort of running late. Okay, fine. And I sort of did, but I'm going to quickly, fair enough. I appreciate the honesty. Someone asked in direct chat, will I be reviewing the homeworks for the semester, like inside of class time, like in Physics 203, or will we need to go to recitation for reviews? So the answer is, I will be going over homeworks in class time, including today. I'm going to start going over the homework that you haven't even done yet. I mean, it won't usually be like that. Usually you will have done it already, but most of class time will be me going over these problems. Yes. And again, since that person was running late or might have missed this, you don't have to go to a separate recitation. No, like technically, I think even right now we're already, or soon in a few minutes, we'll be drifting into the period of time that's known as recitation. That's what I'm going to do. Yes, I'm going to go over the problems in class. Often you're going to be ahead of me in terms of what's assigned to you, and I'll be behind you in going over it. But what I do is go over them. Yes. We'll talk about due dates. Okay. One last thing also, will you ever get a break? Sometimes I'll give you a break in this 2.5 hour thing. Sometimes I won't. But of course, like, you can come and go. I mean, you can, if you have to, I mean, your videos are off, most of you. And again, to the extent you can ever show video, you get a lot of positive affirmation for that. But most of your videos are off. Of course, you can come and go as you please. There's nothing I can do or say about that. But sometimes I'll give official breaks, but sometimes I can't. Okay. Okay, all right. Bro, someone just literally wrote bro. Okay, we're sorry. Oh, good question. Yes, momentarily, we're going to start with homework 1B instead of homework 1A because we're going to sort of go backwards. Yes, because homework 1B is more mathematical, is sort of the harder one that's worth more points. And I want to get you rolling on that so the expectations are clear, and I'm going to sort of work a little bit backwards. But yes, today in class, and going over things, we're going to go over 1B instead of 1A. Yeah. Oh, and thank you, Alexis, for what you're saying. So Alexis summarized in like one sentence what I've been yammering about for 20 minutes. Yeah. So I appreciate Alexis. And again, I still appreciate Christopher's perspective. I mean, I'm not arguing with it, but yeah, what I'm thinking in my mind is like the 5-step method is it's hitting an ant with a sledgehammer on questions that you already think you know where they're going. It is unnecessary. It is unnecessary for questions that you already know where you're going. It literally is unnecessary and painful. I completely agree. But it's necessary and super helpful for questions where you don't know what to do, which is what ultimately physics looks like. And again, my one secret that I found out the hard way as a physics student is it doesn't work if you haven't practiced it on things where you knew what to do. So it's just like practicing scales and piano. Like, who likes doing that? Very few people. But it's kind of hard to, you get my point. But yes, but you don't have to like it. No. And I appreciate and by the way, I appreciate that Chris was keeping the conversation going. Can I also point out, I really, I'm not, I mean, it seems to me that Christopher is like saying something that's like, he's offering his perspective. I don't feel like what he's saying is disrespectful. Just for I think he's saying it in a respectful way. So I appreciate that. Like, and we can do that. We should do that. I mean, as long as we're all remain open to maybe seeing other perspectives as we go, I'm good with that. But cool. All right. Anyway, but I'll try as we go through. I'm going to try to give you I didn't do it for years, and then I did, and there's a reason. But okay. Anyway, but it's okay. Look, in the end of the day, at the end of this whole course, I have a couple of goals. One goal, oh, absolutely, is for me I want you to like physics. Absolutely, I want you. Yeah, I also want you to be good at physics, but it's kind of hard to be good at physics without liking it. It's also kind of hard to like it without feeling like you're okay at it. So those two things are, running in lockstep. My big goal at the end is I want you to like physics enough to like not want to run away from it in your future job or your future graduate school or whatever. I want you to like physics at the end. I have no illusion that that means you're going to like every aspect of it or everything I do. You don't have to like everything I do. I mean, it would be ridiculous. You don't, but you have to do them. And just keep an open mind. Just be a scientist and keep an open mind. Even if you've seen something once before, in one way, you might see it a different way this way, and it might change. Just always remember, I talk about the same crap 3 times a day for 30 years, and I still find it interesting. In fact, I find it more interesting than I ever did before. There's a reason for that. I'm serious. Like, I mean, you can tell. I might be annoying some of you right now. I might be confusing some of you right now, but it's pretty hard to argue that I'm not amped up, right? Like, obviously, I'm excited to be here. I haven't even gotten to start talking about physics yet, and I'm enthusiastic to be here. Why? I mean, this is the same deal I do 3 times a day for 30 years because seeing the same thing, because certain things are interesting enough that you keep seeing them from different perspectives. There's an infinite number of perspectives that I can get on the physical world, and I get a new perspective on the physical world each time I have a new group of people in the room raising their new perspectives. It just gets more and more interesting to me. So I'm going to ask you to try to keep that attitude too. Some of the stuff you'll think that you've seen before, so what? See it now from a different perspective. Like, you've seen planet Earth before, but you're going to see it again tomorrow. Hopefully you're not so bored of planet Earth that you want to leave. Well, maybe you do want to leave. I don't know, but you get what I'm saying. All right. The 5-step method. I'm going to get to that. Good question, Sarah. I will get to it. And it's in Google.
Remote sensing makes looking at Earth every day very interesting from my field.
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry. Say that again.
Remote sensing makes looking at Earth every day very interesting from my field.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Well, thank you. There you go. Exactly. So, okay. So it just shows a new perspective on the seemingly same old thing can be really helpful. And I will get, and so thank you for saying that. I will get to the 5-step method. I know I'm just talking all around the place now here, but yeah, I might even post it in a second. Let me Oh, well, here we go. So Chris. Okay, I'm looking at Christopher's. I'm laughing with him, not at him. Why I'm laughing? Well, first of all, I'm partly laughing at the plug-in chunk part. Totally true. I mean, totally fair. I wouldn't have called it that, but yeah. But I'm also laughing. Can I just like a little side note here? You notice Christopher is the one who's offering like a slight objection or a slight like, I'm not sure I love the 5-step method thing, and yet he's also literally showing in the chat that he knows exactly what it is. That's respect, right? I mean, he's saying, I know what it is. I committed to, I've got it. I remember it, or I've got it written down, or whatever. Here it is. That's cool. I'm down with that. If you can like do it and know it, but then you still don't like it, great. That's much better than saying you like it and not knowing it or whatever. But yes, basically that is what it is, what he wrote. It's also in the Google Classroom. I'll be more detailed about it, but it's a method of showing work. That is how, and it's also my grading rubric. It's the steps that I want you to do when you're solving a problem, either in homework or on exam. And you if you miss any of those steps, you lose points. But as long as you do those steps, you get all the points. So it's about learning a process of solving physics problems. And that means as long as you do all those steps, even if some of your answers are wrong and stuff, you could still get all the points for homework. But basically the method is, yes, what Christopher just put here. Also, again, there's at least one like handwritten screen of it in Google Classroom, but we'll get to, but yes, that is what it is. It's okay, cool. Oh, and what Allison wrote, awesome, awesome, awesome. We have, yes, we have homework at John Jay, yes, Sarah, and yes, we have review. We have practice exams. In fact, we're trying to make this. We also have crazy professors who just keep talking on and on without getting to the material. But yes, yes, we're trying to make this. That's tough. Yeah, that is tough where you are. Is that it's time to, okay, anyway, I got web work and flipping physics. Well, okay, I think I'm through the chat. Whoa, crazy.
It's just all the general classes where I'm from are full of pre-med students. So the bar is very high for the classes. So they're made as difficult as possible.
Yeah, and look, right, I hear you, and I know that's the way it is a lot of places, and there's something to be said for that. I hope you'll find by the end here that the bar is set very high for what I think you're going to learn, I think. And I think you're going to all get, I think the bar is going to be set very high for how much smarter you'll hopefully feel by the end of the course. But no, yes, but we're not here to set that kind of high bar. I mean, I understand that, but that people do that. I mean, I don't, for good or for bad. But okay. But I appreciate that you're bringing that up. Okay. And this, well, anyway, okay. So let's start going over this homework. And we're just going to start. Yeah. So what first I want you to do, well, actually, wait a minute. No, I do have to make sure of a couple of things. Let's see in Google. I'm going to look in Google Classroom for a second. Let's see how many. So we have, but yes, please open your Google Classroom and open up homework 1B. That's what we're going to talk about. A second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Wow. So you all are here. Congratulations. That is great that you're all here. And I mean, well, that you're all signed up with Google Classroom. I mean, hold on. Are you actually all here? Oh, and Evelyn, I'm sorry. Are you asking a question? Are you
Yeah, sorry, before we go over the homework, I was just wondering, I don't know if this was already said or if I missed it, but for the game thing, can we like reuse screenshots like for 2 things? Can we like submit the same one for 2?
Yes. Okay. Yes. Great question. And you know what? Yes. If I'm understanding what you're asking, that's a great question. And you know what? Even though I'm saying, wait, you all are here. Hold on. I'm going to answer that more in a second. I just want to make sure everybody actually is here. 1 second. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Oh no, so there's 22 people in the room right now. Okay. Okay. All right, I'm saying I'm about to go over homework 1B, but that is a little confusing that I didn't even go over the game turn thing yet. I'm going to backtrack for a second. I want to answer that about how these game turns work, how the participation thing works. Why? Okay. So hopefully you all have your Google Classroom. I mean, you all did sign up, and thank you. That is great. And you're seeing my Google Classroom on the screen. All right, I'm just going to go through this in order for a second. So first of all, there's the Zoom link on top. Of course, mine looks a little different from yours because, although I could have sworn that I erased all those. Anyway, you can see stuff here that's not populated on your side because it's from prior semesters, whatever. But first, there's a Zoom link. That's the Zoom link. Then you'll note there is a YouTube channel. There is a YouTube channel. What that's about is that you may have noticed that this class is being recorded. Okay. As soon as the class is over, for good or for bad. I mean, there's pros and cons to this. And I know it's a reason that some of you don't, it may be a reason that some of you don't show video or don't participate. I totally understand that. I respect that. But I have found over time that it benefits everybody to be able to go back to the class, especially once we're getting close to exams and we're getting into material and all of that. So point is that this class is recorded and I will post it for you in a playlist called Summer 2023 Physics 204. I'll post it on the YouTube channel tonight when the class is over. And so then you can refer to that at any time when it's coming to exam times and stuff like that. Or also you can refer to it if you missed part of class, et cetera, et cetera. You'll also find if you go to the YouTube channel that all of the classes from all the prior semesters are there. So you're always welcome at any time. If I said something unclearly this day or something, or you're really confused about a topic, you can go back to any of the classes that I taught on that topic for years, some number of years since COVID started. So feel free. So but just know, yes, the class is recorded and then it'll be posted. I mean, very few other people in the world look at it besides you guys, of course. So I wouldn't really worry about, but you get it anyway. Then notice there's class notes after that. Everything that I'm writing in this board that I haven't written that much today yet because we're getting to know each other. But once I start taking notes on this problem, all the notes I take, the solution, it will just be posted to here as a PDF the minute class is over. Everything I write down gets posted to you the minute class is over. So those of you who are asking, do I go over the homework? Do I provide solutions? Yes. I still absolutely think you should take notes. And you'll find that some of you will sometimes screenshot your notes and show them to me because you don't want to talk a lot, but you want to show me that you're participating. That's great. But yes, I will upload my notes to you at the end of every class. That's what class notes is. And you'll see that today's are already there. I mean, the first 3 pages, hopefully we'll do more than that, but they're there just to show you a sample.
Wait, question.
Oh, yes.
Can I take a screenshot of your notes saying it's my notes and posting it as my notes?
I mean, that's a great question. Wait, I think it's a great question. Can you take a screenshot of my notes, say it's your notes? I mean,
you're doing it through Zoom, right? Cool.
Yeah.
I'm listening to you while you're writing, doing whatever you're doing. Take a screenshot.
Oh, I see what you mean. Right, because that shows, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I might open a separate portal for that now because I never literally thought about that before, but sure. Yes. The answer is yes. I see your point. That's clever. And you might, and this is to everybody. I don't know if you're, so yes, I mean, the answer is yes. Good point. And thank you. And that was Christopher, right? I see. Okay. Since we're going over, okay, to Valentina. Yeah, homework 1A and 1B are going to be due tomorrow. I'm going to tell you right now. I know I'm jumping around. Homework 1A and 1B are going to be due tomorrow, but I'll tell you right now why, or 2 things about that. Number one, 1A is not math. I mean, 1A is not like typical physics. It's more like an exercise. There's not really right or wrong answers. And in fact, let me make super clear to all of you, with homework 1A, you don't need to do the 5-step method. It's like the last time I'll ever say this, but 1A, you don't have to do the 5-step method. You could take it very casually, very informally. It's informal. It's to get things going. The ultimate purpose of 1A is it's going to provide me with an opportunity to show you what this course is really about, material-wise. So don't take it overly. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you just answer all the questions and make it clear that you answered all the questions, whether they're right or wrong, whether you showed huge process or not, whether you did fine, as long as you turn it in on time tomorrow, you're all going to get full credit for it. I might not even read it that carefully. I'll tell you that right now. I'm going to go over it. I am going to go over it because it makes a point. But 1A is informal. Don't get too crazy with it. It's maybe philosophically interesting, but 1A is due tomorrow. It shouldn't take you too much time. Don't get stressed about it. As long as you do it and you turn it in and you answer all the questions, you'll get all the points. And that's why I'm not talking about it like just yet, okay? That's 1A. We'll go over it tomorrow. 1B is more like real physics to get us really into the material. So 1B, I'm going to focus on at least getting you started today. So you have a start, so you know what I'm looking for, so you know the method. I'm not going to finish going over it today, but you're going to try your best and do it tomorrow. Turn it in for tomorrow. This is a 5-week course. It is a little fast-paced, as you know. So 1B is a long homework. It will get involved. It starts off with questions that are based from material you probably know, hopefully know from Physics 203. It starts somewhat straightforward, like Hooke's law, F equals negative kx, okay? But it gets harder and harder. By the very last question of homework 1B, I'm going to tell you all right now, by the time you get to the very last question, I would not expect you to be able to answer it straight up or see the solution in your head just based on anything you did in 203 or any math class you've taken. I would not. If anybody nails the very last question, nails it, they probably went on the internet and found some things out. I'm telling you that, which is not cheating, but I'm saying by the time you get to the last question, it's very thought-provoking and very involved. What I want you to do is try and be honest about it and say whatever you can about it. And sure, look up anything you can, get any knowledge you can, but don't write anything down that you don't understand. You can get the knowledge from wherever you want. You can help each other for sure. You can go on the internet. You can go to Khan Academy. You can go blah. You can go to my past lectures. I mean, please, that would be a smart thing. And you can learn anything you want from anywhere, and you don't have to footnote it. I mean, it's physics. You don't have to cite it, but you cannot write down anything that you don't understand by the time you're writing it down. And I can tell the difference. So as long as someone's asking, 1A is due tomorrow. That'll be quick. Don't stress it. Just do it. 1B will be involved. You're going to try your best. You're going to try the 5-step method. I'm going to, spend the rest of the time talking about it. You're going to try to walk yourself through all the answers, all the questions for 1B. By the time you get to the end, you might well feel a little stressed. You might feel like you don't know what to do. That's true. You don't, probably. I'm intentionally doing it this way so that you can start to see by the end of 1B, what it feels like to not know what to do and to start to see how the 5-step method can help. I mean, I'm not doing it just to be obnoxious. We have to get to the material of the end of 1B, but you are allowed to struggle with it tonight. You should struggle with it. You're allowed to not complete it. You're allowed to get a wrong answer. That's all fine. You're just going to try. Okay. And I'm going to tell you right now also, as long as we're talking, but you are going to try. And the first thing I'm going to look tomorrow before we start is just like who has turned in homework 1B and who's made a valiant attempt at turning in responses to all the questions. If you've turned in responses to all the questions that are thorough and thoughtful and whatever, you're automatically going to get a huge amount of points tomorrow just for even doing that. If you don't complete the end by tomorrow, or if you don't complete the end by tomorrow, I'm going to understand that too. And I'm going to tell you right now, this might be slightly different from Professor Walters. You're going to get more of an opportunity to fix things or update it or complete it and get more points later. I'll talk about that too, my philosophy with that. The axe is not going to fall tomorrow. It won't. But you're first going to make a very valiant attempt at being thorough and thoughtful about it. And I'm going to, my first pass through, just looking at everybody, just going to see who did that. And you'll get a ton of points for just doing that. And then even if you don't get all the points, you're going to have an opportunity to get all the rest of the points soon. Last thing on that, this is my philosophy with all the homeworks. Eventually, more or less, everybody can get all the points on all the homeworks eventually if they stick. I mean, once you fall behind, it gets very hard to catch up. But deadlines are, let me put it this way: all the deadlines for homeworks are for like first drafts. Okay, you will almost always have opportunities to revise and update and get more points on the homework. You will. It's just going to get harder and harder to do that as the semester races along. But your final grade is on homework 1B will not be the grade that you get tomorrow necessarily. Tomorrow's your first attack at it. Okay, if that helps at all. Let me just go. Now I know I'm losing. I'm gonna. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So that. Oh, and thank you, Valentina. So she just closed the loop and she just got. So I want to get to that. I want to get to this homework 1B. I'm just. So yeah. So homework 1A, you'll see. I'll just quickly. I'm sorry. Homework 1A, you see, it's a document. You'll do it at home. I don't want you to stress it, but it just reminded me too. With all the homeworks, I'm sure this. Well, I don't know if this is true with Professor Walters. With all the homeworks, what I do expect, I think it says this in the instructions, when I say turn in a homework, what I mean is you do out the homework on a separate blank piece of paper or pieces of paper. Most people are more comfortable writing out with pencil and pen. Most of us, including me, are more comfortable doing math and physics like with pen or pencil and paper. That's totally, some of us are not, some of you type, that's fine. But many of us still write out on paper. You can do that. When I say do a homework, what I mean is you're going to take out separate sheets of paper, blank white paper. You're going to write out all the solutions from the method. You're going to make all the questions clear. You're not going to copy and paste the questions into your sheets. You're going to treat your blank sheets of paper as though they're blue books, for exam. You're going to write out the solutions. You're going to compile all the pages together into one file, like one PDF or one Google Doc. If you don't know how to do that, I will help you. There's various ways. And then as one file of all of your work. I mean, so I'm sorry, I skipped a step. You're going to write all this stuff out on the blank piece of paper, and then you're going to scan it or take pictures of the pages. But even if you use your phone and you take a picture of every separate page, I mean, that's fine. But you're not going to submit. If you have a 5-page homework, you're not going to submit 5 JPEGs to me or something. That I can't grade that, and I can't return it back to you in any organized way. You're going to compile the JPEGs into one PDF or one Google Doc. Again, I'll explain how personally to any of you if you don't know how, or you'll show each other. But then you're going to upload one file to the Google Classroom, and then that's the thing that I'm going to mark and grade as homework. Again, even if today, you're going to do that at least once in real time with me. You're going to upload at least one thing to me today. I'll show you what it is, so that we can all make sure the system's working. But ultimately with homework 1A and 1B that you're going to do tonight and tomorrow morning or whatever, that's how you're going to do them. And you're going to upload them to Google Classroom. So I just wanted to clarify that. Again, stop me if this is, stop me. Oh, yeah.
So I tend to do my homework on my iPad. Can I just submit it as a PDF written?
Oh,
it's written
totally.
though.
Oh, yeah. If you're writing out, if you're writing out on a tablet, on an iPad, absolutely. Yeah, then you could just submit it as a PDF, as long as it's one file. Absolutely. Yeah. That's awesome. I wish I could do. Yes, that's awesome. The day I have an iPad, I will do that. Okay. So where are we? Okay. So that's homework 1A. You'll just do tonight. Homework 1B, you'll try to do that. I'm going to try to get you all started, but you're just going to try your best. Again, and again, with homework, I'm sure this was true with Professor Walters, for all of you, for homework, you are allowed and encouraged to consult whatever resources you want. You can go, it's not an exam, you can go online, you can go to Khan Academy, I would first encourage you to go to my thing so you can see how I do, but whatever. You can, and you can help each other. I love it, picturing that you're helping each other. The only deal is by the time you write something down, you're writing down something that you understand. Don't write things down that you just copied from other people and you don't understand. And the main reason not to do that is that the difference is obvious. It is. We could talk. So, but you can get help any way you want. And always understand that these deadlines on homework are deadlines for first drafts. If you don't turn in a first draft, like when it's due, I'll notice that over time, and that's not great for you, but you will, it's a first draft. You'll have an opportunity to revise and improve and re-upload later. You will. Okay, so that's homework 1A and homework 1B are due tomorrow. Homework 2 won't be due till next Monday anyway. We'll get to that. I'm going to start going over homework 1B tomorrow. I'm going to tell you right now, even in 2.5 hours, I probably won't finish going over it. And I'll explain that tomorrow. It's going to take us a while to go over it, which is one of the reasons that you don't even have homework 2 due until the next week. It takes us a while to go over homework 1B because there's actually a lot going on in it by the end. Even things that seem easy, like imply all kinds of concepts that we need to unpack for this course. So I use it as a way of introducing a lot of material for the rest of the course. So you're going to bear with me. I'm telling you right now, it's going to take us a while to go over homework 1B, which also means you have time to revise and add, but just do something solid for tomorrow to show an act of good faith. Okay. I'm going to go back to homework 1B shortly. I'm going to start talking about it, and please let me know if I've lost you already. But as long as I'm talking about this, I just want to get to the thing that here, homework 0, game points and participation, because I know Professor Walters doesn't do this. I mean, I don't think she does this. I mean, it's kind of designed for the online teaching. So here's the deal. Okay, here's the deal with game points and participation. Let's start with what's on the screen right now. Oh, so yeah, okay, here's game turn 1, right? Hopefully you see it on your screen too, or you have it next to you. Here's game turn 1. This is due tonight at midnight. It's due tonight before midnight on purpose, because it's just a quick moment of reflection. It's a moment that you're just going to check in with yourself on anything, any way that you participated in today's class. And by the time we get to tomorrow, it's not as relevant or as useful. So you're going to, as it says here, this is just generic participation of any kind, including just writing hello in the chat. If you wrote hello in the chat, then then right here, oh, see, okay, I can't do this on my side, but on your side, here's an example like Christopher was just asking about working on his iPad or whatever. Here's an example. You don't even have to take out a separate piece of paper. I think on your side, you can literally hit the plus sign, and then it says like open new Google Doc or something like that, or start fresh document or something. You can just do that. You can open a new Google Doc right here, and please do. And on the Google Doc or the Word doc, whatever it opens for you, you can literally just type in, today I said hello in the chat. Okay, you could provide a screenshot too. That would be helpful, but it's not vital. Or if like you're Christopher, you could say, I'm the one that brought up about the 5-step method. I'm the one that asked about the iPads or whatever. Or if you're Sarah, you could be like, I'm the one that brought up about how the bar is set too high in Staten Island, or if I got that right. Just, you're not trying to prove anything. You're doing a quick reminder to me and to you of one way, any way that you participated today. So you're going to write that down. It's like one sentence. Okay. You're going to submit it here. And as long as you submit it, but before midnight tonight, I'm going to open it, right? I'll probably just put a check, or I'll just say like, thanks, great to meet you. Or like whatever, I'll take about as much time to respond as you took to write it. But as long as you jot down one quick thing about participation today, you're going to get 5 points for that. I'll explain in a minute where the points are going, how they affect your grade, but you're going to get 5 points for that. If you fail, and this is going to be true every single day. I mean, there aren't even that many days in a 5-week course, but every day there's this like little 5-point opportunity just to check in somewhere in the class and then like show me that you checked in with this. So it's your responsibility to tell me. You can like again, for example, Sarah's participated a lot today. Christopher's participated a lot. I'm not singling, I'm just saying, right? Other people have, Valentina has participated a lot, and that's awesome. But like, if she wants like to get credit for it, she's going to have to take a moment to reflect on that fact. And she doesn't have to say every single time, but she could just say once, like, I'm the one that asked about homework 1B and 1A, whatever. She puts it in here. She tells me. So she's like telling me I deserve points for this. And she's just reminding me I have a very good memory. Like the minute she reminds me, I'll know. I mean, I'll be like, oh yeah. Or what, and if someone lies every day, believe me, I'll know. So Valentina or Christopher, whoever is going to put this in by midnight tonight, and then they're just going to get 5 points for having done that. And every day that's true. Now I'm going to go on and give more details about this. And I'm going to tell you where the points go. They do add up and they help your grade, all of you. But I'm also going to say right now, do it. Like if you're someone that's already participated at all today, including even raising your hand electronically when I asked you to, if you participated at all today, please do this right now so we can get it out of the way before midnight tonight. And also so you and I can both make sure that we see how homework document exchange like works through Google Classroom in this class. So before I go to homework 1B, which is real physics, let's just make sure that we know how to communicate to each other through homework. So I'm going to ask you all right now to do this. If you have not participated at all today yet, literally just write in the chat, hello, right now, or send me a direct chat message saying something like, dude, this is too much. You know, tell me something in direct message like, I'm not participating because I'm a little freaked out by you or whatever, but participate some way now if you haven't. And then put it in the document now. And before we go any further, I'm going to make sure that we're all cool and we're all getting 5 points right now, because this will happen every day. You'll have if you, by the way, if you don't do it before midnight, but you do it tomorrow, you get 4 points instead of 5. But after that, this is one thing that it's like you can't then back up and do these retroactively. It defeats all purpose. So with these, if you do it today before midnight, you get 5 points. If you do it a day late because like your computer when it exploded, then you get 4 points. But after that, don't worry about this. It's okay. And if you never do it, you don't get penalized. This is all points that you can get, but if you don't get, you just don't get. And then we just better hope that you do really well on the exams. I'll explain that more in a second, but I'm going to wait now. Oh, what is everybody studying? Wait. This kind of assignment right here to answer Taskine's question, this game thing, this turn 1 is every day. Like tomorrow will be turn 2. It'll be the exact same thing. And then the next day, turn 3. Every day you have an opportunity to get 5 points just for participating for a moment. And it's secretly, it's meant to force you to like self-reflect for a second after class and just like remember class for like a moment. So you don't usually do it in class, but today I'm asking you to. So, and what is everyone studying? I'm not sure if I understand what that question means, but I'll tell you what the topics of this class are shortly. I'm not sure if that's.
I know, I mean, it's what is everybody measuring it?
Oh, okay. Can we hold back for? I mean, you know what? On that thing, what Sarah just one thing I would encourage you guys, if you didn't already in lab or at some point, I would encourage you guys to set up like your own Discord server or like WhatsApp or set up something for all y'all so you can all communicate in a way that I'm not part of, so that you can talk freely. I would really encourage that, and then you could talk about what you're studying and stuff like that. But I'm not sure we want to get into all that right now. But I am going to wait for. I'm going to ask everybody right now to do this thing, and I'm going to be checking on my side on Google Classroom, not publicly, but I'm going to put the notes back. But I'm going to wait till everybody, because I want to make sure, because here's the deal. Homework 1B, from here on in, physics is physics, right? We're going to do hard physics. I want to first make sure there's no excuses, that we all know how to turn in homework and what I'm looking for. And then that's the method we'll use for the physics. So before you go any further, great. Okay, so I'm going to look, I'm not looking publicly, I'm looking privately, but to make sure that people. And I'm going to tell you as we go, as you turn them in, I'm going to say thank you personally. I'm not singling out anybody who doesn't do this. I'm not going to embarrass anybody who hasn't figured it out yet. But if you did figure it out, I'm going to thank you publicly, because maybe you can help somebody else. And that's just the way it is. So wait. Okay, so like 5 people have turned in already. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Brianna. Thank you, James. Thank you, Key. Thank you, Alexis. Thank you, Michaela. And I'm looking, and I'm just making sure you each did it. And I'm going to give you a grade right now. I'm going to make like all of you. Let's just like, if you don't walk away with anything else today, you're going to walk away with 5 points that do count. And again, I'll explain how eventually. And if you didn't, but I do want you to like literally set up a separate document. Right. I said, right. So I'm looking at a document right now that's separate, and it says, and it has a screenshot and it says, I said, good morning at the beginning of class. That's all I'm looking for. That's great. That's 5 points. But what, to make it clear, what I'm not looking for, what I'm partly making sure that you all know how to do right now is don't just enter something in the comment section of the Google Classroom. You got to submit some kind of document, because that way I can mark it on my iPad. Like if it's just a comment, I can't put a grade on that or any feedback or anything. So if you get 5 points from me right now, that totally means you get what I'm asking, and thank you. And again, we're not going to go any further until everybody. Great. Thank you. Again, for anybody who's just tuning in now, the reason we're silent is you're turning in this game turn 1 to get points and kind of as a test, and I'm returning them back to you right now, just so we can establish this communication. So we're being quiet so you're working on game turn 1 right now, for those of you who are just tuning in, and I'm turning it back to you. So let's bear with, and if you've done it, go get a cup of coffee for a minute with my blessings.
I'll have to wait until I get home to do it, because on my phone I can't really turn it on much. It's gonna die.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. Okay. Thank you for telling me. Fair enough. And that's Sarah, right? Okay. I will tell all of you, I'm glad, fine. So she explained that. That's cool. I will say for everybody else, if you've never used Google Classroom before, if your phone isn't about to die, like if it's plugged in or whatever, all of this, you totally can turn on notifications, and you totally can get the app, and you can do Google Classroom on your phone. I think I'm not saying Sarah can't. I mean, I get that she can't right now, but I'm a big believer. This is the kind of thing you totally could do on your phone in general. Those of you who have never done Google Classroom before, it's one of the reasons I like it, honestly. But right, if your phone's about to die or whatever, then you can't. That's fine. So bear with me as I do this. And if you've just done this and now you're just waiting for us, if someone's asking for help, you can help them. But also, if you want to start working on homework 1B, go for it. Because yes, with homework 1B, you're going to take out a separate piece of paper or your iPad or whatever, and you're going to start trying to answer the questions. And yes, if I want you to use a 5-step method, and there is a shorthand version of the 5-step method posted under tools in the Google Classroom. So it says like step 1 is you draw a diagram and the basic facts, the fact pattern. Step 2 is you make it clear what the question is, like in your own words, not copy paste. You make in your own abbreviated words. Then question 3 is you set up definitions or general principles that you need, equations that you need to solve the question. And then you start really doing the work, the plugging and chugging, so to speak, at step 4. And then step 5, you provide a final answer with proper units and in a complete sentence kind of way, like V, or in this case, F equals like -30 newtons, which by the way, I think is the answer. And you box that, and that's the 5th step of the 5-step method. If you're waiting for me right now, if you've already done what you're supposed to do, please just start trying to work through homework 1B. I'll tell you right now that the equation to use for question 1 is definitely F equals -kx, Hooke's law. And I'm not cheating by telling you that. And I think and then I think for the next question, you're going to use F net equals MA. And I think in the next question, you're going to do the same thing again. Then by the 4th question, it starts getting a little bit more involved, and it gets more involved from there. But you can look up anything you want right now to do this. So I'm just gonna keep being quiet for a second and just making sure you're all good with game turn 1. But if you've done game turn 1 and you should, if you've done it, you should get back 5 points today, right now. And if you've done it and you don't get back to 5 points, you should let me know. And once you get the 5 points, please be working on 1B. In fact, let me just make sure that's really clear. If it's clear that once you've done game turn 1 right now, you should be trying yourself to start homework 1B. If that's clear, could you raise an electronic hand, please? Awesome. Thank you, Bradley. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you, Bree. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, James. Thank you, Dante. Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Michaela. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, I think. Thank you, Valentina. Thank you, Sade. Thank you, Alana. Thank you, Juliana. Okay, cool. And is it clear? Okay, and if you're not able to, okay, if you can't, oh, cool, they made a Discord for you already. That's great. That's great. Okay. If you can't do it now, like some of you were telling me in direct chat that you can't do it now for whatever electronic reason, that's fine. As long as you think you understand what I'm asking, but you can't do it now, that's cool. But do let me know in the chat just so I know. But okay, that's fine. And yes, it was it mentioned already? It wasn't mentioned already. You will get a reference sheet of equations when it comes to exams. With the exam, you'll get a reference sheet. And in fact, it's even stapled in the exam. You don't necessarily get a full reference sheet before for homework, but you can look up anything you want for homework, including, I think, if you look up the midterm exam from last semester that's posted in Google Classroom already, it does have an equation sheet in the front. You're welcome to use that. And yes, so Dennis and everybody else, for good or for bad, from homework 1B on, you do need to do the 5-step method for everything. That the bad news is, yes, you do. The good news is that means you can get full, as long as you do the 5-step method, you get full credit, even if you don't know what you're doing or you don't get right answers. I mean, again, this is the flip side. I sympathize that the 5-step method is like boring, but it's a trade-off, or it's like tedious, but it's a trade-off. The whole point is it gives you something to do so you can make sure to get the points, even when you don't know how to get correct answers. Now, again, is it annoying to do when you think you already know the answer? Yes, it is. But it doesn't work unless you practice it on things where you already know the answers. So that's, but yes, you do. Okay. So I'm going to go back. Oh, and if you're still raising your hand because you understand, okay, great. I lost it. Thank you. You can put your hands down now. So I'm going to assume it's pretty clear. You're either turning in game turn 1 right now, or if you did already, you're working on homework 1B and you're waiting for my points to come to you. And I'm about to be interrupted for once. Okay.
Say bye. What?
Okay, bye. What?
Bye.
Bye.
Go say bye.
Oh, okay. Excuse me for a minute. I'm saying, oh, okay. Excuse me for 1 second. Yes, I'll be right back. You do your thing.
Yeah.
You want to go out? If you do, you have how much longer
I'll think. We don't know.
come down in time to see, because I'll have to order it different.
Like, when should I come down? Well, I'll just order.
You don't want to go out.
Yeah, just order it.
Okay. Sorry, I'm back. Oh, did my video go off? Wait, what? Did my video go off? Wait a minute. Oh no, that's my other.
No, you're here.
Oh, that's up. Okay, so okay, thank you. Okay. So if your hands are still up, if they're up for a question, please ask it. But if they're up from before, that's cool. You can put them down. Okay. 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 So I'm going to resume what I would. So again, yeah, bear with me. You're working on 1B. If you're up to speed, if you're caught up, you did one, work on 1B in your own way for the moment. Look up anything you want to look up. I will be here catching up to you. Excuse me for a second. 1 second. Yes. Yes. Pardon me for 1 second. I'll be right back. And then we will, oh, okay. Oh, okay, I will be back with okay. We will resume in a couple minutes. I'm almost done with my side. I think I've gotten them from all of you. There. Okay. I think we got all, oh, okay. So thank you all. I know. All right, I'm going to check that. We're going to start talking together in a minute. I'm looking in the chat. I know a couple of you told me you can't do it now. All right, bear with me for a second. So I know a couple of you said you can't do this right now, but there's one. Oh, yeah, okay. So maybe I lost some of you. Okay, some of you are gone. Interesting. Okay. All right. I think we're gonna, for those of you who are still with me, we're gonna resume. Okay, well, yes. Well, all right, okay, first of all, raise your electronic hand if you can hear me right now, if you're still with me, if you're still in the class. Great, thank you, Valentina, thank you, Bree, thank you, Bradley, thank you, Dennis, thank you, Dante, thank you, Keith, thank you, Allison, thank you, Samantha, thank you, Juliana, thank you, Jackie, thank you, Christopher, thank you, Alvin, thank you, Christina, thank you, Michael, thank you, Michaela, I mean, thank you, James, thank you, Mario, thank you, Toiba, awesome. I think that's all of you, actually. Wow, you guys really are, that is all. Or if I didn't mention your name, sorry, but I think I see all. Okay, I thank you. Yeah, I think that was all of you. Okay. I mean, a couple of you left. That's fine. What I believe is that with one exception, I've written one of you privately. I believe all of you either have now turned in game turn 1, and therefore you should see on your end that you got the 5 points. Like if you did turn in game turn 1, you should see that you got back 5 points. You might have gotten a comment from me like, great, thanks, or something, or you might not have, depending on where my head was at the moment. But if you got 5 points from me, that means I saw it. And yes, you were on the same page together. That's cool. And that's how things work going forward. If you turned it in and you did not get the 5 points, you should let me know right now, like in the chat or something. If you did not turn it in, it's either because you're one of the 2 people that told me that they couldn't and that they're going to do it later. Fine, I tried, that's cool. Or you're one person that I directly chatted and asked. If you're confused about what's going on right now, I mean, so honestly, I kind of want all of you to have turned in game turn 1 or told me that you can't right now, but like, let's, before the physics starts getting crazy, let's be on the same page about document exchange. So I'm going to say one more time, but then I'm going to move on. If you did not turn in game turn 1, I mean, there's at least one of you in the room that didn't, and that I reached out to. I'm hoping that you're going to see my reach out at some point and that this is going to get clarified. And there's at least one of you who left the room. So okay, whatever. But 2 of you totally told me you can't. I get that's fine. But other than that, hopefully you turned it in. And if you didn't turn it in, I mean, I'm sorry. And if you did turn it in, I would like to know right now if you did not get, if you don't see 5 points on your end. Okay. Okay. Oh, and the hands that are up now, you could put them down unless you're raising your hand to say you didn't get 5 points. Okay. Okay, cool. Now, again, I want to turn my attention to the actual physics, but that little participation thing is going to happen every day. That's 5 points. You can tell this physics homework is worth a lot more than 5 points. I mean, of course, like it's going to take a lot more thought and a lot more time, but there's also going to be more time to deal with it and get all the points. There's a couple last things I need to say about where all these points are going and how the grade works and all of that. Again, you can stop me at any time. And again, my goal by the end of today was to have at least started you off on homework 1B and gotten you into a position where you know what I'm expecting. There's no way we're going over the whole thing today. I mean, of course, you have to try it first tonight, but I'm going to start it. Oh, and sorry, Dennis, you have your hand up. Is that a question or you just still have it from before? Hold on. Okay. All right, cool. So again, forgive me if I'm like all over the place, but a couple more things on these participations. Every day you can get 5 points for just participating at all, right? But then you'll notice, so I'm going to change my screen again for a second. You will notice under this homework 0 game points and participation, after game turn 1 was just that 5 point thing that's due tonight. Tomorrow there'll be game turn 2. Then game turn 3, it's okay, every day, just that 5 points. But then what are all these other things after that? That if you look at them, you'll notice all of these other things that are already there, like please go back, please go forward, video, closed path, avatar, etc. All of those, you'll notice, are due like August 14th or something to that effect. They're due the last Monday of the whole class, okay? What's their point? They are all these different ways that you can participate, and a lot of them are worth more than 5 points. Some of them are 7, some of them are 9 points, some of them are 12 points, whatever. So for example, video, right? If you, where it says a game dot video, I think it's the 4th one from the top. The point of that is anytime you show video, even for 5 minutes, if you show video for 5 minutes, take a screenshot of that fact, go to the video portal, upload it there. Like open a document, say, I showed video today on July 19th or whatever, and show a little screenshot or whatever, and submit it there, and you'll get 8 more points. And as somebody asked before, I forget who asked it. It might have been Christopher. Somebody asked before, could it be the same? Could you use the same screenshot like in more than one portal? Absolutely. Like if you showed video today, that counts as participation. So you absolutely can just screenshot the video that you showed for the 5 points, the normal game turn. But you can double dip, and you should. You can also, if you showed video today, put it in the video portal. So you're going to get additional points. Anything, and the reason they're due August 14th is maybe you're not going to show video every day, but anytime you ever do, you can put it in that portal and get points for that. Can you show video more than one day and like more than one time? Enter documents into that portal and therefore get multiple points? Yes, like you can and should. So all of those things, and to all of those things, multiplayer co-op, I mentioned before, is like if you in the chat mention somebody else and you say something in any way that if one person said like, and so I was, if one of you is talking about a homework that we're doing, and you say, so then in step 3, I did average velocities is displacement over time or something like that. And then if one of you else says, right, well, but Carolyn said it was average velocity, but actually like the question was asking for instantaneous velocity or something. If you just say anything polite and respectful that in any way shows that you were listening to another colleague, you totally can screenshot that and submit it to multiplayer co-op. Couple other, so some of these are self-explanatory, some of them we'll just get to as we get to. They're all optional. You don't have to do any of this, but it's just all different ways of getting points. I've had classes where some people like are, they're so nervous about it or whatever. They're just a certain type of person, goes crazy with these. Every semester, I have some people that go nutto with these and are like submitting multiple entries on many of these, like every day. And they rack up tons of points and they basically get their A that way. And other people like never do these. It's totally just a way of, of being in the class and getting points. But you should be aware that some of them, and you should just check them out, the different portals, because some of them apply to different personalities, different ways, or different learning styles. One you should really be aware of. I mean, two that you should really be aware of. There's one that says a game for right or for wrong. I can't scroll. Well, I can scroll, but okay, I'm scrolling just so you can see it on the top. Well, yeah, it says a game for right or for wrong right on top. Like, check it out on your own time. But that one is, if you ever put an answer in the chat or you use your voice to use an answer, to say an answer to a physics question I'm asking, if you literally have the guts to volunteer an answer that could have been right or wrong, but just you're having the guts to go out on a limb and like, if I'm like, so what would the velocity be? And you say it would be 3 meters per second. I don't care if you're right or wrong. Just the fact that you had the guts to participate and volunteer an answer that then, might be critiqued by me or by your classmates or whatever. I think it takes guts and I think it's super important. So if you say an answer, I don't care if it's right or wrong, but if you volunteered one or in the chat or anything, submit it to that portal for right or for wrong. If you used your voice to do it, then also submit the same thing in the voice portal. You know what I'm saying? Like you can double dip, triple dip. But here's the crazy part. And then I think there's something, POG. Wait, I see what Allison and Elvin are saying, but I'm not sure I understand. Wait, because they're responding to things. Wait. Well, wait, this is a very good question from Evelyn. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Hold on, let me, I'll answer. My dog is going crazy. Wait. All right, I'm going to answer. Wow, okay, people are going crazy in the chat. 5.48 meters. I'm glad you're up to number 4 already, and I'm glad you're asking. Okay, wait, I'm going out of order. Hang on a second. I'm going to respond to all this stuff in the chat. But let me just really clarify something, or finish one point I was going to make, where it says, again, the top here it says a game be wrong, be really wrong. It's spelled wrong, huh? The point of that is, and you're not going to talk about infinite points. This one you might not believe, but just but it's true. It says be wrong, be really wrong. If you ever volunteer an answer, in fact, I'm going to say right now that Dennis, and this is with respect, this is a compliment, Dennis is going to get points for this. Because if you volunteer an answer in the chat or with your voice or somehow in this class, if you contribute an answer to anything, physics, and I actually come out and say it's wrong, and I'm, I might be hopefully more polite about it than that, but if I come out and say, oh, wow, okay, I'm looking at the chat, I see what's happening. If I come out and say that an answer is wrong, you literally can submit that wrong answer into the B. Well, first of all, you could submit it into the be right or wrong portal because you volunteered an answer, period. So you got guts, you did that, so you get points for that. You could submit it into the be right or wrong or whatever for right or wrong thing. But then also, if I literally said it was wrong, I know this is going to sound crazy to you. I hope it does sound crazy to you. If I say your answer is wrong, you can also double dip that answer into the portal that says be wrong, be really, really wrong, and you get extra points for being wrong in the class, in the Zoom class. You get extra points, let me say, for being wrong. And it's like a lot of, I don't remember offhand, you can look it up. I think it's like 12 points. It's fairly high. And you can do that as many times as you want. I'm going to even go out on a limb now, and I'm going to say, for example, and then I'm going to address this question of Evelyn's, because it's a great question. But, and I'm saying this with total respect and gratitude. Dennis is volunteering an answer for number 4. It's helping us move along here. It's helping keep me on track and get back to the work. Thank you. I will tell you right now that that is not the right answer. And in fact, I have to admit, it's partly because of what Evelyn very respectfully said. And I think she said it very respectfully. So first of all, Evelyn can submit for multiplayer co-op and other things, whatever portal applies, she can. But Dennis, I want to say right now, he gets points. He can submit into the be right or for wrong one because he volunteered an answer. He went out on a limb. That's gutsy. That's helpful. That helps us all. It breaks for 1,000 reasons. It helps us all. But it also happens to be wrong. And I want, and he gets extra points for that. He can submit it in the wrong portal for extra points. And I have 1,000 reasons for that, and I'll explain them as time goes on. But one of them is because we are here to get used to being wrong. We are here to learn how to be research physicists, research scientists of whatever kind. We're here to do experimentation, not just in the lab, but in the lecture. We're here to learn how to take risks. And most labs, as you know, most research, most PRISM research, most award-winning, most researchers do research that 90% of it goes down the toilet, right? This is what's hard about research, is getting used to the fact that most of what we do is a risk that doesn't pan out. It's like photographers who take well, in the old days before digital photography, it's like in the old days, to get one picture, you have to snap 1,000 pictures. I mean, to get one good picture, you know what I'm saying, right? And I am convinced at this point, of doing this for 30 years, that one of the what happens when we set the bar high, like in Staten Island and pre-med programs and all that, is we keep scaring everybody and discouraging them from taking risks. And we keep making everybody feel like crap for being wrong. And that is not the way to produce scientists. That is the way to produce depressed drones. So I want you to know that you get extra credit for being wrong here, because it shows a guts and an attitude and an engagement that is the one that we want to encourage in physics. Einstein was wrong all the time. It's just that the stuff that you hear about that was published, that got like the wheat that got separated from the chaff that got him the Nobel Prize, is what we all hear about. But it happened because he was wrong all the other times. I'm serious. Not that I knew him personally, but or Newton, whoever. So now, if you don't believe me, or you think this is weird, to address, and we will, I know we have 20 minutes, we'll get to the other, to the real homework in a second, but like, I don't still know what POG means, but like Evelyn's thing of, sorry if I misheard, but if we can, resubmit the same one multiple times, doesn't that mean we could theoretically get infinite points? Yeah, it theoretically does mean that. Yes, it does. Like, and say on this wrong thing, to go to the extreme of my philosophy, on this wrong thing, and I've been doing this ever since COVID started, okay? I mean, I've been teaching for a lot longer than that. I keep mentioning, just so you don't think I'm totally crazy. I am also totally crazy, but the wrong thing, I've had this portal since the beginning of COVID. And yes, if you take me seriously on this be wrong portal, you could, every single class, you could just like voluntarily on purpose say some crap that's consciously on purpose wrong, and then submit it in the portal. And you could do that like 3 times a class. You could do an infinite number of times a class. You could keep you could keep stopping and saying wrong things, and then submit in the portal. And according to my system, according to these rules, yes, theoretically, you could get infinite points for being infinitely wrong in this class, and you could somehow then get an A for that. That is what I'm saying. So if you're saying to yourself, well, that is crazy, like why would he do, like, what would ever stop anybody from doing that then? Do you know what would stop people from doing that? I don't know, but no one's ever done it. I will tell you right now, pride, false ego fear of what other people think, or just basic fear that's been drilled into all of us because of hard science classes up until this point, or what gatekeeping or whatever. What, I don't know what it is, but the very thing that stops most of us from saying anything in a class or showing video or even asking a question, whatever it is that makes us worried about what the professor's going to think or our classmates are going to think, or whatever it is that has scared us all into ever being wrong in public, is what stops everybody from doing that. I'm here to say, as a dare, as a challenge, I challenge you to be wrong on purpose in public once a day to get a huge amount of points. Please do. It would set a, I mean, really, I mean, I'm getting a little carried away, but I'm telling you, I've had this portal in here for every semester since COVID, and every now and then people will take advantage of it. Every now and then people will get some points for being wrong, but I've never seen anybody deliberately go overboard with it because everybody's so scared of being wrong. I'd love to see someone go a little overboard. I mean, of course, someone went too crazy and was a jerk. I might have to talk to them privately, like, okay, I get the point. You've won the challenge. You've shown the error of my way. Like if one of you went bananas, I would privately tell you, you've met the challenge, you win, you have risen above, and I am going to give you a ton of points. I will give you all the points. I'm not going to go back on my deal, but I'm going to ask you now, like, we understand each other. Let's now from here on and be more chill. Like that's what would happen. But literally that's never happened. No one, I don't know anybody who said a wrong thing on purpose in class, even 2 days in a row just to get the points, because people don't like being wrong in front of others. And I want you to be more comfortable with being wrong. That's why the 5-step method, blah, blah, blah. That's why the tests are take-home tests. We'll talk about that when we get there. Okay, anyway, so we have like 15 minutes to get back to the actual homework. Hopefully, wait, I know I'm driving you to the, I have one last thing to say. Where are all these points going? I'll say this quickly. I'll say it many more times. No one's going to hear me the first time anyway. I'm going to say this quickly just so you know. Plus, it's written in the syllabus. Plus, I'll say it again like tomorrow and the next day. But where are all these points going? Like, do they actually matter? Yeah, they do. Does it matter if you never get any of them? No, it doesn't, as long as you do well on the exams. Here's how they work. They're kind of, well, here's how they work. Wait, I'm going to say that just, I know we have 15 minutes. I know I've got to get to the other homework, but this is the last important thing I think everybody has to know to tie all this up. So again, all these crazy portals that don't say turns on them, they're due by the end of the semester. You can use them anytime you want, or many times, or you can use them not at all, but they're offered. And if you think of a new portal, like kind of Christopher kind of did, and I might remember that, if you think of a new way, like I would like to get participation points for, well, like what Christopher said, like for taking screenshots of Yaverbaum's notes, can't that count? Like if it's like a new idea that I haven't thought of, I'll probably just make a new portal for it. Any way that you can participate and engage, even if it's not a conventional way, I'm psyched at least to hear it. So I'm going to ask now, first of all, can you raise your electronic hand if what I've been saying so far, even if it's boring, is it basically clear what I've been saying? So awesome. Thank you. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. And that also means you're all paying attention now. Great. I'm not even going to mention you by name. Great. You're all raising your, pretty much all of you raising your hand. So I'm going to say this now. Here's how the grades work. It won't be the last time I say it. It's a little bit complicated. It's definitely unusual, but here's how the grades work. Thank you. And yeah, thank you for putting your hands down. Just so you know, and I'm going to turn the screen back to remind myself. Okay. Here's how the grades work. You take a midterm exam. Oh, and Mario, if you have a question, or do you have a question, or do you want to put your hand down? Okay, thank you. Awesome. Okay, you're going to take a midterm exam. We'll talk about it before we get to it. We'll practice, but just don't worry about it right now. But you're going to take a midterm exam. You're going to take a final exam. You're going to have all of your grades all together in lab, all like the whole grading system in lab, which Professor Talley explains and all that. But ultimately, you'll have a midterm grade, a midterm exam grade, which will probably not be curved, but might have extra credit involved with it or whatever. You'll have a midterm exam grade. You'll have a final exam grade. You'll have your lab grade. Those three pieces will first, those three pieces will be averaged together in a customary arithmetic mean. Like we'll add those three numbers together and divide by 3. That makes your base grade. That's not your final grade. That's like the basis of your grade, is your average of the 2 exams and the lab. So that's the basis of your grade. And your grade will never be anything lower than that, but it's probably going to be a lot higher than that, but it'll never be anything lower. So let me pause right there and say, so if you rock both exams and you rock the lab, if you get a 95 on both exams and you get a 95 in the lab, then you're done. You have an A in the course and you're done. You don't even have to worry about anything else I'm saying. I mean, that doesn't usually happen with people, but okay. But you have that base grade. Then all these homeworks that we do, all of these game participation points, right? All of them, plus all the regular physics homeworks that each one of which is worth a lot more, as you see, like some are worth 25 points, some are worth 35, some are worth 50, whatever. All of those are points that get added up as you go through. The game turns are due that actual night. The other game portals are due at the end of the semester. The regular homeworks are due when they're due, but there's always chances until I tell you otherwise. All the regular homeworks, even if your first grade on it is not so high, there's always a chance to do another draft or revision and increase those points. Okay, so over time, you're accumulating all these points from homework and from the participation, okay? They all add up into a big pile. So by the end of the semester, a typical person, say, has their exam, their base average, and then they have like 200 accumulated points of participation in homework. One person will have like 200 points, another person will have like 300, another person has like 100, whatever. And it's all of them are optional points. Someone will have 0. Some people will never do any homework, and I'm not going to punish them for that. But you get all these points so you can think of all of these points, all of the participation in homework. You can think of it as extra credit if you want to think of it that way. But they all accumulate into a pile. At the end of the semester, I look at everybody's grades I look at everybody's numbers and all that, and I come up with one scaling factor that is this one number. I cannot come up with it until the end of the semester. Every semester it's a different number, but it's the same number for all students. I come up with one scaling factor, like divide by 10. I'll tell you how I come up with it in a minute. But so I say this semester the number's 10. Say you've accumulated 200 points of homework and participation. All of those things go in the same bucket of points. Say you've accumulated 200 points, and say this semester at the end, the scaling factor, well, let's be slightly more realistic. Let's say you've accumulated 120 points and the scaling factor is 10, let's say, which is real. So that means I'm going to divide your 120 by the number 10, and I'll get the number 12. Now I'm going to divide everybody by the same number. I'm going to come up with one scaling factor that is for everybody. How do I come up with a scaling factor? I come up with a scaling factor that makes sure that some people are getting A's. That's how I come up. I make sure something is wrong if everybody's failing the class. Okay, that's how I come. So at least someone always gets an A in the class. That's how I come up with the scale. Anyway, so you had 120 points. I divide it by 10. So now it's scaled down to 12. What's that 12? 12 is what gets added to your base average. Like if you had an average of the 2 exams in the lab, if your average was 81, then I add 12 to that. So now you have a 93. So you had a B minus just based on your average, based on your exams in your lab. But now I add 12 because of all of your participation in your homework. So I add 12. So now you have a 93. And then after that, at my discretion, I can add 1 point to anybody. I can add 0 or 1 point to anybody who's been particularly engaged and involved in the class. If anybody's just been an obvious good citizen, and that's usually more people rather than less. And if you've been just very clearly present in general and involved and had a good attitude, I can add 1 more point to you. And I usually do for anybody who's right on the borderline. It's partly a mechanism to help anybody who's on the borderline. So then I add your points, the scaled down points, in this example, 12. Then I could potentially add 1 more for citizenship. And then that's your final grade. Again, I'm going to explain this again later at other times. But what I'm trying to say, if you're following me, the example I just gave was historically realistic. If you do a ton of homework and you do a ton of these participation portals and stuff like that, you can typically, people can get like 12 points added to their average. Some people get like 7 or 8. I mean, people who don't do anything, don't get anything. Some people get like 14 or 15, but you can change your grade from like a B minus to an A or C minus to a B by doing all this stuff. So of course I scale it down. I'm not adding 200 points to your average at the end, but I add a chunk, which, I take your total points and I scale it down by the same number as everybody else. And I come up with that scaling factor by looking and making sure that there are A's in the class, because so the idea is when you're, so basically bottom line, every point that you get on any of these things, homework or participation shirts, if I'm giving you 5 points, just think in the back of your mind, like, all right, he's going to divide that by like 10 or 12 at the end of the semester. So every time I give you 5 points, really, in effect, you could think of it as a half point on your average. If you know what I'm saying, you can divide as you go if you're trying to get a sense of where you are in the class. But that's how it works. So you can really change your grade by doing the participation homework. You can, or you can just get high exam scores. I know we only have 7 minutes left. I'm going to say whatever I can say about F. I'll say right now, the answer to question number 1 is -30 newtons. I'll try to break that down in a minute. But this is the main thing I want. Raise your hand if it's clear what I just said about how the grading works. If the grading is sort of clear. Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, awesome. I see a lot of hands. I don't see all the hands, but I see a lot of hands. I mean, thank you, James. Thank you, Toby, but thank you, Dante. Thank you, Michaela. Thank you, Allison. Okay. So I know I think we have like 6 minutes left. Sorry, I will go to the, also I'll say right when we're done, I will always, if you could say goodbye, that'd be great too. That counts as participation. But right when we're done, I won't ever, if it goes to, when it's 6:45, unless I ask you otherwise, you got to leave. But I'll generally be the last one to go. I'll wait till everybody goes, so that if you have a quick question afterwards, or you want to set up an office hours appointment with me or something like that, I'll wait till everybody's needs are met, but you just go, once I say goodbye, okay, which is going to be like in 6 minutes. But I won't, but I won't shut down the Zoom in case you need anything. Okay. So we've got like 6 minutes left. Thing on a spring. I'm going to start running you through a quick example of what I would look for solution 1 to this. Okay. And again, whatever I'm writing now, this is already posted in Google Classroom, but I'll repost it once I have. So here we go. So homework 1. So this is an example of how to do homework, right? And I'm just going to get to question 1. I know it's easy. I think it's -30 newtons. If you got that, good. But this is what I'm looking for. Like homework 1. Okay. Thing on spring. Okay. Question 1. So what I would do if I were providing, so this is my separate sheet of paper. I'm turning this in, right? Even though the sheet already provided a diagram and all that, right here, provide a diagram. In this case, it's very much like, but you don't literally copy. You can copy it with your hand, but don't, you know what I'm saying? Don't copy paste it. It's really important to go through the exercise of drawing a diagram. You learn a lot by drawing a diagram, whatever. I'll try to justify that later. But so here's a diagram. Right. And then here's the fact pattern. So this is step 1 is diagram and fact pattern. Here's the facts. The facts are that K equals 200 newtons. And yes, you have to do all this. X naught equals 0.15 meters. Mass equals 0.3 kilograms. So providing all this information right here is what I consider to be step 1, diagram and fact pattern. Again, this is summarized in a sheet in your tools, but this is what I would do for step 1. Do you have to literally write step 1 DFP? You don't have to, but it's certainly helpful. Oh, sorry, Evelyn, question?
I was wondering, can we reuse diagrams for like the questions since it's working on the same system?
Absolutely. Great question. Yeah. Anything like, yes, you will see. Absolutely. Great question. Submit that for points, by the way, but yes. So from here on in, when I get to question 2 and question 3 and stuff, I'm literally just going to say for diagram, see above. Yeah. And for the facts, see above. Yes. Anything you can just redo, you can just say see above. Yes, absolutely. But I'm just drawing it once now because this is but yes, good question. Okay, so from here on, I'll say see above. But so there's my step 1 DFP. Again, you don't have to write step 1, but it sure helps because this is also, again, the way I grade. And this is the way you do the exam problem. So you might as well, okay, you get my point. So there's my step 1. So now I'm going to the next page. Now, step 2, sorry, I meant to do this. Step 2 is what is the question? And this is so important. Everybody hates this, but it changed my life in graduate school. I'll tell you stories later. Step 2 is WIQ. What is the question? Here you literally, you distill down the question into your words, and you literally, there's a whole bunch of English in the original sheet, right? Don't copy paste that. And don't give me the sheet. Don't do this on the sheet, but show me that you understand the question by saying something like at X equals X naught, what is F? That's the question. It could be that short. And it should be that short. You're distilling down the essential information of the question to show me you know what it is. That is step 2. And you're getting points for that. Again, this is like really important. If you do, people that often don't know what the question means in physics, it helps to see what the question is first. Okay, we have 2 more minutes. I know that. I'm just going to get through this and that'll be it for today. But you've been very, very patient. So then comes step 3. But yes, I expect all this to be done. Okay, so this is all question 1 of the sheet. Step 3 is general definitions and principles, GDP. That means we're writing down things that are true even before this question started, true and relevant to the question. In this case, the relevant principle to write is an equation. It's F equals negative KX, Hooke's law. I'm going to explain that tomorrow. For those of you who don't remember it or never liked it, I'm not explaining it now because we're about to be done with class. But F equals negative KX is an example of a GDP. Please note, that's not the same thing as the givens. I know you're used to from like 7th grade. You're like, yeah, write what you know and then write. But there's 2 different kinds of things that we know. What we know in the question was given in step 1. But what we know in life in general that we need for the question is now here in step 3. It's a general definition or principle, F equals negative KX. Then step 4 is what I forget, Christopher, I think it was Christopher, referred to as plug and chug. Sure, it sure is. I call it I call it PAW, practical application and work. This is where you get specific. This is where you're going to say here in this question, here, K equals 200 newtons per meter and X equals 0.15 meters. So here you're plugging in, yes, 200 newtons per meter times, sorry, I'm running out of room, times so negative. I know this is getting right. So now you're doing the work. This is what people consider the work, but this, my big advice in physics, we're just about to done. If you have to go right now, go. Otherwise, I'm done in like 1 minute. But I'm telling you that this is what people consider showing work. But if you actually do steps 1, 2, and 3 before this, the steps that everybody hates, it makes it much. The real thing is people never know how to set up the math for physics, right? The math is the easy part once you set it up. What people don't know how to do is set up the math. That's what happens if you follow step 1, 2, and 3. It sets it up for you. So here's the math, and we're just about done. We are done. On the very last page, step 5 is final answer circled. Again, all of this is written on a sheet in the Google Classroom if you're not catching this now, and I'm going to upload this. But so in the final step 5, you write, therefore, F equals, like you do out the math, 200 times 0.15 is 30 newtons. That is your final answer. The original question asked for a force measured in newtons, and specifically at X equals X naught. That's your answer. Now, obviously, the questions get harder from here on in, but that's how I want you to do them, please. You've been very patient. It's 6:46. I kept you a minute late. I apologize. So I'm good. If you're good, please say goodbye and leave. But if you have a question or any needs, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere, but thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow. And I will upload this. So you can leave if you want. I will upload this, and the recording of all this will be uploaded tonight. But you can leave. Are you not leaving? Okay, go ahead. It's been a pleasure seeing you. You can also say goodbye first.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you. I was hoping for that. Thank you, Bree. If that was Bree.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. I don't know who that was, but thank you. Goodbye. Thank you.
Oh, that was me, Valentina.
Oh, Valentina. Thank you, Valentina. Great to meet you. Thank you. Goodbye.
Professor Youre.
Yes.
So-
hi, Apple. Yes.
I was wondering, so for the homework 1A, I kind of already did it. Like I have an iPad, so I did it right on the piece of paper, like on a PDF editor.